Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I would like to, is this working? Yes? Okay, great. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the San Jose City Council for the afternoon of March 4th. Tony, would you please call the roll?
Kamei? Here. Campos?
Here.
Salas?
Here.
Cohen?
Here.
Ortiz?
Present.
Mulcahy?
Here.
Dwan?
Here.
Candelas?
Here.
Casey?
Here.
Foley?
Here.
Mahan?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Great. Thank you. Now, if you're able, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Today's invocation will be provided by local author Cassie Kiefer, and Councilmember Salas will tell us more.
I was at the little teeny gift shop at History San Jose probably 3 months ago, and I ran across this book, San Jose, Secret San Jose. It is a complete delight, and I'm not selling anything, but it is a complete delight, and there's a lot of great stuff in it. Cassie is going to read, the author, Cassie, who lives here, is going to read one excerpt, but I'm telling you, there's good drama, there's really neat stuff in here that I encourage all of you to take a read of it sometime. Cassie, thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Councilmember Salas, for the introduction and the invitation to speak to you all today. My name is Cassie Kiefer. Again, I'm a proud resident of District 3 and the author of a couple of local travel books. Secret San Jose, as the council member mentioned, is an unconventional travel guidebook featuring 85 unique stories about our community, places to visit, and things to do. In addition to some of the quirky and unusual tales, I tried to share stories that show how our community came to be and highlight the contributions of people and organizations who aren't usually recognized. I love our community and our history, and in my written work, I invite readers to join me in learning more about this place where we all live and work, to be proud of this community and to work to protect it. So Secret San Jose came out during the pandemic when we were all staying quite close to home. One of the things that I was most proud of was that this book shares many hidden histories that invite you to explore our local public parks and open spaces. These wild places and access to nature are one of the things that I love most about living here in the South Bay, and I'm sure many of you agree. So there's the story of Big Basin, California's first state park and home of ancient giant redwood trees that were saved from the brink of total destruction due to the action of local activists many years ago. They're the stories of not one but two local ghost towns, Drawbridge on the San Francisco Bay, as well as the old mining town at New Almaden. There's a disappearing lake in the Coyote Valley, hiking trails that let you take in the Santa Clara Valley views as seen by the Anza Party in 1776, and mysterious stone walls in the East Foothills. No one knows exactly why they were built or who built them. But the story I selected to share with you all today is one of my favorite wild places, and actually a San Jose city government success story. This chapter is called Springs Eternal, or what local park used to be a world-famous spa destination. So one of my favorite things to do in San Jose is to take a hike at one of our many parks and open space preserves. The oldest and largest park in the city is Alum Rock Park, though today's wild hiking trails and undisturbed access to nature are very different draws from what it offered 100 years ago. Alum Rock Park was designated as a public park by the California State Legislature in 1872 and credited as being the first city park in California. For just 25 cents back then, you could hop on a steam train and later an electric streetcar in downtown San Jose and take it all the way into the park, where as many as 10,000 visitors would gather on a single Sunday afternoon. The biggest attraction were the famous mineral springs. People would travel from around the country to soak in hot and cold pools of mineral water that 19th century doctors claimed were good for various ailments. From 1891 on, the city built a bandstand, a restaurant, ornate stone grottos, bathhouses, and a large indoor swimming pool with a 2-story slide. Unfortunately, because of the heavy visitor traffic and development, by the 1970s, the native plant and wildlife population had declined. the city decided to return the park to a more natural state, removing the swimming pool, many of the buildings, and closing off some areas. As the natural habitat recovered, many native species returned, and the park is now a popular destination for local hikers and school groups. The environmental education nonprofit Youth Science Institute is based on site, organizing programs that teach kids about nature. Today, you can still see the ruins of the old stone grottos and smell the sulfur springs along Penitencia Creek and Mineral Spring Loop trails. So Alum Rock Park is still a popular place, an important place in our community, but thankfully today it's no longer an amusement park. It's all about the nature. So in conclusion, it's almost spring, and I invite everyone to get out and explore one of our beautiful local parks, whether Alum Rock Park or otherwise, and visit these places one day soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassie. Appreciate you sharing your love of local history with all of us. We're on to our ceremonial items. I'd like to invite Councilmember Dewan, City Manager Jennifer McGuire, and Fire Chief Robert Sapien Jr., and members of our fire department to join me down here at the podium. And we will recognize our heroic firefighters who recently joined in fighting the devastating wildfires in Los Angeles. All right. On January 7th of this year, fierce Santa Ana winds swept through our neighbors to the south in Los Angeles. The largest were the Palisades Fire and the Eaton Fire, two of the three most destructive wildfires in California history. Together, these fires burned over 37,000 acres, destroyed more than 16,000 structures, and tragically claimed 29 lives. Today, these fires are 100% contained, and the process of rebuilding begins, in no small part thanks to the brave firefighters from across our state, including our own here in San Jose. Through California's Fire and Rescue Mutual Aid System, the San Jose Fire Department swiftly mobilized fire suppression resources as part of a multinational response. This included the deployment of a Santa Clara County strike team and task force, along with personnel filling key California Incident Command Certification System incident management roles. On January 8th, 30 of our firefighters and 3 engines were deployed to Los Angeles, working grueling hours to combat persistent fires and support rescue and recovery efforts. In the most harrowing circumstances, the world saw the best of San Jose, and we welcomed our firefighters safely home on January 16th and 17th. California is safer because of our first responders, and their efforts are a reminder that we must do more here at home because we can never be too prepared. Because we know that a wildfire outbreak is not a matter of if, but when here in our valley. If we want to prevent a disaster of this scale in our own backyard, we must continue to invest in aggressive fuel reduction, expand our vegetation management efforts, and compete for every available resource to ensure our city is well prepared. Our firefighters answered the call when Los Angeles needed them. Let's make sure that when the time comes, we have done everything possible to prevent tragedy and protect our own communities. To our San Jose firefighters here in person and currently out in the field, thank you. Thank you for your bravery, your service, and your unwavering commitment to protecting others. We are proud of you and grateful to you. So thank you all so much. And before I present a commendation on behalf of the City Council, we're going to hear from Councilmember Dewan, who will then hand things over to our City Manager, Jennifer McGuire, and Fire Chief Sapien. Council member.
Good afternoon. I am so proud of you guys. I'm proud to be part of the San Jose Fire Department. I would like to thank the mayor for allowing me to be here to present this commendation and for taking the initiative to recognize our brave men and women in the fire service. As a former firefighter myself, I understand the passion, the courage, the commitment, and the sacrifice that our firefighters do on a daily basis. Which is why I believe it is important to acknowledge and commend our fellow firefighters for the bravery and the selflessness they exhibit when protecting our neighborhood in LA. We are truly grateful for all your sacrifice. And I want to say, let's give it up for our firefighters. Big hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Meehan, and thank you, Councilmember Dewan. The heroic efforts of the San Jose Fire Department during the recent Los Angeles area wildfires highlight the critical role our first responders play, not just in our own community, but across the state and beyond. Their dedication and skill saves lives, protects property, and provides hope in times of crisis. Ensuring we have the best trained firefighters requires a strong commitment to recruitment, hiring, and ongoing professional development. The City of San Jose is dedicated to attracting top talent and providing the resources necessary to maintain a highly skilled workforce. We continue to invest in state-of-the-art training programs, modern facilities, and cutting-edge equipment to prepare our personnel for any emergency, whether it's here at home or in mutual aid situations. We are incredibly proud of all of the city firefighters who stepped up in this time of need. Their courage and professionalism reflect the values we uphold as one team, and we remain steadfast in our support of those who dedicate their lives to public safety. Chief Sapien, I know that you have a few words to share as well, and I just want to again really congratulate our firefighters for their heroic efforts.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor and Council, City Manager McGuire, for recognizing what is truly remarkable service to our community and to our extended community across the state. Thank you also for allowing us to be participants in the Governor's Office of Emergency Services statewide mutual aid program that is set up so that a community can simply say, we need help, and in that moment, the entire state begins to mobilize to provide resources and support. It's no small thing for our firefighters to commit to this work, to load up a fire engine with an already full fire engine with more equipment so that you can survive a couple of weeks of time out in the field with unknown circumstances in very cramped quarters is no small thing. To unexpectedly leave your family for 2 weeks at a time, leaving all those duties at home on hold is no small thing and no small sacrifice by those families who do that. Once you're at the scene of an event, you are working. Having been on a couple of deployments myself, it is 2 weeks of hard work. Even on your days off, you're trying to keep up with the equipment needs, the maintenance, the rest, all the cycles that have to happen. Simple things like doing your laundry every day. All that stuff is really tough. And so it's really no small thing. The funny thing about all the difficulties that come with being part of a mutual aid deployment is that every firefighter in the San Jose Fire Department wants to go, wants to make that sacrifice, wants to be a part of helping another community. It's a remarkable level of dedication that our folks commit themselves to, and they live it for decades as their careers go by. So I just want to give my sincere thanks to every single one of these responders who really committed of themselves for their families and their support, and again, to our city who supports those efforts. Thank you very much.
I think we just saw some evidence of that persistent and consistent service as a couple of our firefighters had to run out. But I want to present this commendation on behalf of the whole council to the chief and the team here. Thank you all for your service to our city. I'm going to invite all of our colleagues to come down if you'd like to jump in the photo. We're going to try to pack into the middle here and see if we can get one big group shot. Thank you again to our firefighters. Please join me in one last round of applause. Chief, why don't we get you here with that commendation? Let's all squeeze in.
Good to see you again.
Sorry, next time. Forgot.
We can do it on an event.
Yeah. All right. Vice Mayor Foley, if you would join me at the podium, we will recognize and proclaim International Women's Day.
Thank you. I'd also like to invite Councilmember Campos, Councilmember Kameh to join us. And I'd like to also invite City Manager Jennifer McGuire and City Attorney Nora Freeman to come down and join us as we are celebrating International Women's Day. And we have with us the Las Madres group. Today I'm honored to recognize March 8th as International Women's Day. This is a day to celebrate the achievements, resilience, and contributions of women, not just in our community, but around the world. In San Jose, we see the power of strong women every day. Women who lead, who create, who advocate, and who uplift those around them. But today, I want to take this moment to recognize a special kind of strength, the strength of mothers. Women, especially mothers, are the backbone of our communities. They balance work and caregiving. They teach and nurture. They protect and inspire. Even in the face of adversity, women persevere. They rebuild after setbacks, advocate for their children, and continue to create opportunities where none existed before. Each day, they shape the future of our next generation, instilling values of kindness, perseverance, and strength. Their strength isn't just about what they endure, but it's about how they continue to uplift other women along the way. That's why I'm especially honored to present this proclamation to Las Madres Neighborhood Programs, Playgroups, an organization that has been empowering mothers and families in San Jose for decades. Las Madres embodies what it means to build a strong, connected, and thriving community, one where mothers support one another, parents and caregivers find support, and children have safe spaces to learn and grow together. We are joined by a few families from their organization, but I'd also like to mention one of my District 9 residents, Marion Hinkle, who joined Las Madres in 1989 when her first child was born. Marion proudly raised 4 children through their playgroups, gaining lifelong friendships along the way. And now she gets to watch her daughter continue that tradition, raising her own children within the same Las Madres community. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us today because she had some work that she was doing, probably photographing children. As we celebrate International Women's Day, let us reaffirm our commitment to uplifting women in every role they take on, in the workplace, in leadership, in caregiving, and in our neighborhoods. Because when women, especially mothers, are empowered, families flourish, communities grow stronger, and the future becomes brighter for everyone. To all the women, to all the mothers, and all those who continue to uplift and support them, thank you for your strength, your resilience, and your love. Happy International Women's Day. To accept today's proclamation, I'd now like to invite Los Madres Executive President, Stephanie Smeekins, to accept this proclamation and to say a few words. Stephanie, and we have a few children with us too. Isn't that fabulous? Stephanie.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor Foley, members of the San Jose City Council, and fellow San Jose citizens. It is truly an honor to accept this proclamation on behalf of Los Madres neighborhood playgroups as we commemorate International Women's Day, a day where we recognize the strength, resilience, and unwavering commitment of the women in our community. Today, I want to take a moment to focus on the special group of women who play a foundational role in shaping the lives of our communities and our future, mothers. Mothers are the silent architects of society, shaping the values and attitudes of future generations. Every day, they empower their children to become strong, compassionate individuals, the future leaders, innovators, caregivers, and change makers. They balance the demands of raising children with the challenges of work, school, and family responsibilities, and they often face inequalities and barriers, and nevertheless, they rise above. Los Madres Neighborhood Playgroups aims to help create a space where mothers of all backgrounds are supported, valued, and empowered. We offer neighborhood-based playgroups for children 0 to 5 years old and their caregivers. Our organization was founded in 1953 when 12 mothers came together during a childbirth preparation class in order to help strengthen their village. Over 70 years later, Los Madres is still around and providing that sense of belonging and community for its over 800 members throughout Santa Clara County. Los Madres is more than just an organization. It is a vital, supportive space where mothers can come together, share experiences, and find solace knowing that they are not alone. Whether through playgroups, educational workshops, or simply offering a space to vent, Los Madres helps mothers build the communities that they need to thrive. So to all the mothers in this room, including my mother who's here today, and my daughter, thank you to all the mothers across the world. Thank you for your love, strength, and your courage. Thank you for shaping us, guiding us, and inspiring us every single day. Happy International Mother's Day, or International Women's Day to all the incredible mothers and to every woman who contributes to make the world a better place. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Ortiz, please join me at the podium and we will recognize Dr. Tom Tavo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we are honoring the many contributions and career of a cornerstone of the medical community in East San Jose. After becoming a doctor in Vietnam, Dr. Vo Ta Dong has practiced neurology and internal medicine for over 40 years at his practice on Alum Rock Avenue in District 5, where he has not only earned renown for his leadership in his field, but also for his generosity and community spirit. During his entire career, Dr. Vo has embodied traditional Vietnamese values of medicine, focusing on serving his community with a personal touch. I had the privilege of meeting Dr. Vo a few times, including one of his many collaborations with community-based organizations to promote public health throughout the community, something he does out of the belief that the knowledge of a long and healthy life belongs to everyone. His collaborative spirit and genuine dedication to improving the health of his neighbors has earned him tremendous respect and trust throughout the city of San Jose. And it is my honor, alongside the mayor, to present him this commendation for his 40 years of leadership and model practices for East San Jose and the commitment to the greater public health of the city of San Jose. It's great to see that Dr. Vo has brought along some of his friends and colleagues with him today to celebrate this very special moment. I now would like to invite Dr. Vo to please say a few words.
I'm Dr. Vo. I would like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and especially Council Member Peter Ortiz, the Mayor and City Council, for me to give this opportunity to present over here. Thank you very much.
At the recommendation of the council member. Yeah, thank you. Congratulations.
We'll take a picture with them.
Yeah. All right, thank you all. We're on to orders of the day. Does anyone on the council have any changes to the printed agenda? Okay, not seeing any. We do have an adjournment today. Today's meeting is adjourned in honor of Mignon Gibson, who passed away on November 23rd, 2024. A devoted historian and advocate for open space, she dedicated 23 years to the San Jose Historical Museum, serving as director from 1982 to 1997. Her legacy lives on in History Park and the community she loved. Councilmember Candelas, please tell us more.
Thank you, Mayor. As mentioned today, we adjourn in loving memory of Mignon Gibson. Mignon was a resident at the Villages in Evergreen, following a remarkable career with the city of San Jose, particularly in the field of cultural and historical preservation. Mignon began her career with the city of San Jose in September of 1974, at a time when the San Jose Historical Museum, now History San Jose, was still in its early stages of development. After graduating from San Jose State University, go Spartans, Mignon entered the workforce, eagerly cycling to work where she took over the field coordination for the earliest buildings built and moved onto museum grounds. She then became the museum director in 1982 and worked tirelessly under the leadership of mayors Tom McHenry and Susan Hammer to expand the museum and create new, meaningful programs. During her tenure, Mignon was responsible for moving many significant historical buildings to the museum's grounds, such as the A.P. Hill House and workers' cottages from the Emily Horn Ranch. When the city's museum operations were privatized, Mignon transitioned to the Office of Cultural Affairs, continuing her leadership role as the contract manager for the city's cultural facilities. Mignon's impact was widely recognized, and in fact, State Assembly member Dominic Cortese named her Woman of the Year in 1991. Mignon's contributions to the city of San Jose, especially the preservation and promotion of our local history, will not be forgotten. Her vision, leadership, and passion have left a lasting impact on our community. Let us take a moment to reflect on the profound influence she had on our city's cultural heritage and remember the legacy she lives behind for future generations. I would now like to invite a close friend of Mignon, Franklin Magee, who will share a few words. Franklin, the podium is lit and ready for you whenever you're ready.
Mayor Mahan and members of the council, I'm Franklin Magee. I'm here with Mignon's two best friends, Leslie Mazanaga, who's a retired city archivist of San Jose, and Catherine Crothers, resident of the Villages. When State Senator Dominic Cortese nominated Mignon as Woman of the Year in 1991, she had been director of the San Jose Historical Museum at Center Road for almost 10 years. By then, she had already created an amazing legacy as the museum's relentless advocate. Charismatic, feisty, and a consummate deal maker, she left in her wake a museum with 30 buildings that exist today as History Park. Her proudest achievement was the replica of the Highlandville Ningxinggung Temple, partnering with the Chinese Historical and Cultural Project in order to recreate the iconic building that was demolished in 1949. We hope to bring together her friends at History Park later this year for a celebration of life, which is a celebration of the museum that she loved. We thank you for honoring our eternal friend.
Thank you. And we are very sorry for your loss, but appreciate, and really our loss collectively, appreciate you being here to pay tribute to a remarkable woman and the tremendous legacy she's left behind. And thank you to Councilmember Candelas for agendizing today's adjournment. We are going to move on to the closed session report.
Thank you, Mayor. We did not have closed session today, so I do not have a report. Thanks.
Figured that was going to be your report. Okay. We're on to the consent calendar. Do we have any items that the council would like to pull from consent? I don't think my office was advised of any. I'm not seeing any hands. Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Great. Motion and a second. Tony, do we have any public comment on consent?
Brian Darby.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you very much for all you do and for all that stuff and for the firemen too. I would like to ask to please bring back the individual e-comments that used to be on the agenda items so we could discuss things on each particular consent item. It makes it easier than writing a large email, which I think sometimes can be verbose and people don't, no offense, but people don't read them. So I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Back to council.
Thank you. Appreciate that comment. We'll take it up offline, but thank you. Okay, we're back to the council unless we have any further deliberation. I'm not seeing any hands. Let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Tony. We're on to item 3.1, report of the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I do not have a report today.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Let's go on to item 3.3, Board of Fair Campaign and Political Practices interviews. Tony, do you want to explain the process to us?
Yes, I'd like to call down Tom and Manu to take a seat in the box. We had several applications, but Tom and Manu are the only two that we're inviting for this interview. One of the candidates didn't fully complete the application. A couple candidates are out due to conflicts of interest, and Hai Bui was appointed to another commission, so he withdrew his application. So you are invited to ask questions of the two candidates that we have. We have two vacancies on the Board of Fair Campaign and Political Practices Commission, and these are for full terms.
Yes, and as I understand it, our, I don't know if it's the charter or city policy, but we need a 2/3 vote?
Yes, that's right, a 2/3 vote.
So assume we'll be able to achieve that, but we shall see. Okay, well, thank you, Tom and Manu, for being here. I've heard that the board has struggled to meet quorum at times, so we're excited to have some new members and hope that you're committed to showing up to the meetings and doing the job. Appreciate you taking the time. I know you're both busy and have full lives, and appreciate you being willing to serve and your interest in serving in this capacity. So, Tony, unless I've got anything wrong here, I think we're going to give each applicant an opportunity to give a quick statement, and then we'll cycle through questions from the council and entertain a motion. Is that correct?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So, Tom and Manu, what I'd like to do is give you each up to 2 minutes to, you don't have to use all the time, but just tell us why you've applied and what you hope to do in this capacity on behalf of the community, and then we'll open it up. I'll take questions from the council, and we'll wait until we have a motion.
Press this, okay.
That works.
Got it working. Thank you, Mayor and council members. I hadn't prepared a statement or anything, but I served I previously served 3 years on the Board of Fair Campaign Political Practices, and I sort of feel like in that time I barely started to learn enough to be useful, and I'm interested in continuing serving a second term and hoping that perhaps in that time I can pass along some of the institutional knowledge I've learned to the other board members. We have had a lot of turnover, as you mentioned, and you know, it would be good to have you know, more continuity. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Manu?
So thank you, Mayor, and all the council members for having me here. So basically, I've been trying to do something for the community for the last few years. And one of the things that I did about 3 years ago, I joined my HOA as a director, got elected there, and I'm still the director there. By doing that, I felt, you know, I got the opportunity to see what people go through in general, just about that housing community in general. But it gave me a feeling that I could do much more for the community with my volunteer time, with something that I really like to feel, what I feel good is to get engaged with the people, to help them where I can. So I thought this particular vacancy in the city for the fair campaign and political practices, that kind of attracted me, because I do want to know about what goes on in the fair campaigning rules, regulations, and what actually is done, and what are whether the political practices that are outlined in the rules or manuals are being actually followed or not. So maybe I thought I could be helpful in this, and also use my volunteer time to help out the community in general. So I applied.
Great. Thank you both for your opening statements. As I come back to the council, I'll kick us off with a quick question that I think is maybe the core tension in these kinds of roles. How would you each, if you'd each reflect on, how would you handle a situation in which your personal beliefs, perhaps about a rule we have on the books or a particular candidate or their campaign, if it's in conflict with the rules on the books. And so there are times when you're asked to, your role is to enforce the rules on the books, but when you have a conflict with those, and maybe you don't even feel totally supportive of the rule, how do you navigate that? What is your approach to, how would you define your role in that situation? And whoever wants to start.
Okay, sure. Basically, in my regular life as an engineer for a large tech company, we do get involved in these kind of situations where we have a certain SOPs that, team need to follow. And I'm the kind of manager for a certain team. And sometimes I see the situation where the SOP or procedure says something should be followed, but actually it's not getting done because of a certain circumstances. So this is a similar situation for the city. There might be rules and guidance from the books, and then there is something that I may not agree to the rules and guidance totally, but in this case it's been written down by the majority members and been approved, duly approved. So I don't think there is any other way for me to kind of let go of it. If I have problems with it, I need to talk to the board and to the council members, to mayor, about it, and then see how it goes. I can't just not follow the rule. Rules are rules.
Yeah.
So the structure of this board has kind of two missions. One is to rule on complaints that are brought before, and the other is to recommend changes for future stuff. So I think it's fairly clear that in ruling on a complaint, you have to follow the letter of the laws as they've, and the regulations as they've been outlined. But I think in my experience, when we've encountered some of those cases where those regulations weren't clear or weren't optimal, I think those have then been the input to the second part of the process, which is to recommend changes to the municipal code on a biannual basis.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Great. Well, appreciate both of your answers. Let me turn to colleagues. Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you both for being here, for stepping up, for willing to serve your communities. I have a very straightforward question. If you could change or amend one piece of campaign law, what would it be and why? Feel free to start, Tom.
That's actually timely because one of the recommendations we've been working on in the past couple of years is around dark money contributions. And I think this is one of our biggest challenges is independent expenditures committees who then may hide where the ultimate source of the money is. And it's been a very difficult challenge because there's a limited amount of things that one can do and one can legislate in this regard. But I think the more disclosure we can put in that area, the better off we would be. And I do think that's kind of our major challenge that's in front of us.
Without looking at the actual fair campaign rules, I can't make one, any particular statement, but hypothetical situation. If there is campaigning going on and I see certain member or members, who are campaigning, they are campaigning to the disadvantage or targeting of another particular community or other communities, which I will believe in my personal thought will be in the rules that you could campaign on what goods you can do, not to target other people on or other communities. So I'll kind of be watchful on those things because we are a multicultural society here and lots of different communities are being represented. If there is one particular campaign which is kind of sledging or targeting somebody particularly, nitpicking, those kind of things I'll be keeping a watchful eye on.
Thank you.
Let's go to Councilmember Kamei.
Thank you. We just had a critical election cycle this last fall. What observations did you make of candidate compliance with state and local political laws during the 2024 election?
So we did not have any complaints before the board in this last election cycle. So I, can't speak to any. There were no obvious, violations. I think there was. I think we had discussed in meetings some concerns about whether the disclosures around advertising were being followed thoroughly everywhere, but we didn't see any violations of that.
Thank you.
So I never served before in the board, so I really didn't keep a very good eye about if there was any violation. In general, I was just keeping a general eye about who is getting elected, and I didn't see any particular concerns popping up from news or anything like that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Let's go to Vice Mayor Foley.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you for your willingness to submit an application, and Tom for your willingness to throw your hat in the ring one more time. I am the new liaison to the commission, and the meeting was canceled last time, I'm assuming because it could not make quorum. So what I would like to hear you declare publicly that you have the time to serve and that you are committed to serve, because it's critical, this role is critical, but if you can't meet because there isn't quorum, then it's an ineffective body. So Tom, why don't you start?
Yeah, I'm definitely committed to attending the meetings. I have had a pretty good track record of that. I think I was out sick once, perhaps, but I've also spent a lot of work outside, in preparation for the meetings, working on proposals for suggested legislation. So I think, my commitment to this is pretty strong.
Thank you.
Yeah, so my commitment is also strong. The reason is that's the only reason why I actually applied. I would have never applied if I was not intending to do this. I do have my volunteer time that I usually spend either resolving the HOA matters, serving there, or currently I am State of California notary public as well. So that's my other thing that I got started last year, and now I like to do whatever time I have out of this, because this is a public outreach thing. I like to do that, so you have my commitment.
So you have time in the evening to spend on the commission that I understand sometimes these meetings run long. That's what I've heard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Mayor, may I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, you may. But by all means.
Since no one else has.
Yes,
yeah.
And then I have one final follow-up as well. Go
Okay,
ahead.
thank you. Tom, I've already heard about how you have prepared for this role, and you've been in this role for 3 years. So, Manu, how will you prepare for this role? How will you learn what the rights and responsibilities are of this commission?
Without knowing the details, I'll go by my general common sense. So when we have anybody new join my team, or when I join another team, the usual process is to start with documentation. So the first thing which tells you what needs to be done, what are the expectations, what are the roles and responsibilities, those will be the things that I'll start with. Probably I'll be provided some sort of documentation but I won't rely just on that. I will have colleagues like Tom, who's experienced, and maybe a few other members who I can always chit-chat with and get some insight about how to perform the duties and what need to be taken care of and what is more important versus what is not so important.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So just to kind of wrap up, unless other colleagues want to jump in, and then we'll entertain a motion. Again, I appreciate both of you being willing to serve, appreciate your applications. Tom, thank you for your prior service. And Manu, I had a follow-up for you based on my first question and your answers, and then a little bit of what I read in your questionnaire, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I noted in your response to the question about the issues the board should address, you talked about studying in detail the motivations of the candidates, ensuring there's no hidden agenda, and that all minority groups are given equal respect. And I think those are all good aspirations. I think we would all agree that we share those values and they're good aspirations. And I'm very much willing to support both candidacies here, but Manu, in order to be able to support yours, I do need to just know that your starting point is going to be studying up on the existing rules that constitute fair campaign and political practices, and that you'll be, because I think something like ensuring no hidden agendas is very subjective. And my one worry with this kind of body is if people start to bring subjective perspectives onto which candidates they like or don't like, or the proceedings are being colored by something more broadly than, or are they in their actions adhering to the rules? I think to Tom's point, if there's a gap in what the rules are that doesn't lead to fair, competitive, open elections, we would love to hear those recommendations, and we may be able to update the rule set, as you were talking about. But I'm not sure that people's motivations are exactly something that you would be enforcing. So I just want to make sure I understand where you're coming from there. I just kind of am re-asking the question to make sure we're on the same page.
Thank you, Mayor. So basically, I will stick to my previous answer verbally that I gave, that rules are rules, so I'll follow those.
Okay.
When I wrote that with the motivations and all, so I just maybe I didn't put it through correctly, but I wanted to kind of state that some people, like what I was saying earlier verbally, that they shouldn't be targeting other communities. So that's probably what I should have put there. It should be, okay, I want to do good for people. This is my district. I will do such and such things, not necessarily slandering or sledging or doing something particular to a particular community. So that's why.
I just need to know, though, for me to support your candidacy, and I suspect colleagues may feel similarly, that you're going to cite a specific rule rather than saying should and shouldn't. Because your own opinions you're entitled to, just as we all are, but your role here is to enforce, based on complaints or other evidence, the rules that are in place.
Of course.
If a candidate says something negative about another candidate, that may or may not be a violation of existing rules. Most likely it is not. And so I just want to make sure you're going to always be citing a rule as a starting point for whether or not there's been a concerning ethical behavior that might require enforcement.
Absolutely. I'll do that, yeah.
Okay. Are there follow-up questions on that front? Councilmember Kameh?
Yes, I just want a little bit of clarity, Manu, in terms of, of all of the committees that we have, and we have a lot of board committees, this one is really focused on ethics and the rules that have been laid out regarding campaigns and complaints and that sort of thing. I'm just curious in terms of, you talked earlier about your wanting to volunteer and spend your time. Why this committee and not another committee? Because we have tons of board committees available.
Oh, just because I'm more interested in political activities. That interests me.
And can you say a little bit more about that?
3 years ago, I stood for election for my HOA, which then I got elected with the maximum vote. So that was kind of triggered my
But this
triggered
is in elections in terms of political offices in the city of San Jose. So it's a little bit different than HOA, which is your own homeowners association.
Yes, but it's kind of the first volunteer work where I'm doing public work, doing something for the public. And this is similar. I'm doing work for the public of San Jose.
But you
and
could
I'm
do
entrust-
work for the public of San Jose in the Parks Commission, Senior Commission, other kinds of commission. Why this particular commission?
Oh, like I told you, I'm more interested in politics. Maybe at
Can you say more about that?
well,
I mean, is the politics of City of San Jose what? I mean,
Maybe-
as you heard from Tom, there was really nothing in this last cycle. There have been in the past where there have been all kinds of complaints regarding signs, regarding accusations and all that kind of stuff. But there was, it was relatively calm here in our local area. So I'm just wondering your interest.
so I was not aware that everything was super calm because I was not part of it. So I don't know about what happened in the last season, right? If it was very calm or it was very turbulent. My intention is just to serve in the committee, in the political committee, because I like to know how the politics work for the city, and also, to enforce what the rules are for the candidates that stand for election for council members.
Okay. Let me turn to colleagues, see if there are any further questions or comments, or if anyone would like to put forward a motion.
I move we accept the two candidates.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept both candidates for the role. Unless there's any further deliberation, I'm sorry, did we need to take public comment, Tony? I apologize. I should have asked
We do,
that.
but there's no cards.
There are no cards. Okay, thank you for clarifying. Let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Congratulations to both of you. Appreciate you being willing to serve in this role. Thank you.
Just talk to them briefly.
Okay. Let's continue on. We are on to item 3.4. This is the cooperation agreement between Pacific Gas and Electric Company and the City of San Jose for electric infrastructure development. And we'll start with a staff presentation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, and members of the public. Kip Harkness, Deputy City Manager, joined here this afternoon with Lori Mitchell and Erica Garafo. I'm going to turn it immediately over to Erica Garafo, our lead resilience strategist for the city, who will lead us through this opportunity we bring for you today for a cooperation agreement with Pacific Gas and Electric.
Good afternoon. Erica Garafo, Lead Resilience Strategist, Assistant to the City Manager in the City Manager's Office. Before we dive in, I'll start with a brief overview of the proposed cooperation agreement with PG&E. This cooperation agreement establishes a collaborative framework between the city and PG&E to plan, finance, construct, and maintain electrical infrastructure to meet the city's economic development and decarbonization goals. The cooperation agreement sets the foundation for joint efforts to attract businesses, support new growth industries, and align with the city's carbon neutrality objectives. The outcome includes clear milestones for infrastructure development and governance processes to ensure accountability and progress. A bit of background to set the stage for why this agreement matters now. First, the city and surrounding regions are experiencing rapid growth in industries requiring significant electric capacity, such as data centers and advanced manufacturing, driven in part by the phenomenal rise in the demand for artificial intelligence. Second, the city has ambitious decarbonization goals aligned with its Climate Smart San Jose initiative, which aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and transition to 100% clean energy. Thirdly, the electric infrastructure in North San Jose and downtown San Jose faces capacity limitations and delays in interconnection that pose a challenge to accommodating this growth while meeting sustainability targets. Fourth, the availability of reliable, affordable, clean energy infrastructure is critical to attracting businesses, supporting economic development, and fostering innovation in these key areas. Which brings us to our last point. PG&E, as the operator of the existing electric grid in San Jose, is well positioned to collaborate with the city in the development and modernization of this infrastructure. While the city's relationship with PG&E has historically been fraught, over the past 5 years or so, we've been working to improve this relationship. Since 2021, in particular, we began working closely to improve our coordinated emergency response. Over the past 2 years, this has evolved to establishing regular coordination with PG&E on topics including emergency response and preparedness, electrical connection to development and permitting, resilience and innovation, PG&E distribution infrastructure, and PG&E load forecasting and future planning. This coordination has resulted in improved outcomes and a deepening interest in a more formal partnership, which brings us here today and the proposed cooperation agreement. As a reminder, this session is not about the city's exploration of a municipal electric utility. Staff will report out in more detail on the results of these explorations at the special meeting later this month. The bottom portion of this timeline is just to illustrate that these two streams of work were developing in parallel. The city and PG&E have negotiated a non-binding cooperation agreement to formalize our long-term collaboration to improve certainty and speed of interconnection and meet economic development and climate goals. I'll read through the key provisions of this agreement. First, funding for a city team to accelerate work and improve coordination. 2, commitment to joint planning and exploring options for financing and development of new electric infrastructure. 3, commitment to define milestones for interconnection of large load customers. 4, process improvements to speed delivery and innovations in design and delivery of infrastructure. 5th, workforce development initiatives and a PG&E demonstration facility. And lastly, the commitment to cooperate on negotiating a more detailed implementation agreement, which will include greater detail on all issues above, including an approach to joint planning, load forecasting, transmission and distribution capital projects and budget teams, funding of staff, workforce development, and design and process improvements. I'd like to take a quick pause and invite PG&E up to the podium to provide their perspective.
Hi, good afternoon, council members and mayor. My name is Christina Ramos, Senior Government Affairs for PG&E, and we're happy to be here today alongside our city staff and present a level of partnership that is necessary for the city of San Jose's future. Over the past 2 years, we have been engaging in thoughtful conversation with the city of San Jose on how we can come together to better serve your constituents and our customers on reliability, capacity, and new connections. Over the last year, PG&E has accomplished a lot of that. We've increased the amount of new business and service connections. We've improved on performance and reliability, increased capacity to support electrification and economic development, and we continuously work with our key partners and developers on innovation. And we've done all of this alongside our partners, customers, and our highly skilled labor workforce. The cooperation agreement that is before you today provides a framework to build upon our existing partnership. We see this as a beginning of a long-term commitment to serving the current needs and future growth of the city of San Jose's residents and businesses. With this agreement, PG&E will finance, engineer, construct, operate, and maintain new grid infrastructure that delivers power to new large industrial and commercial facilities within the planned economic development areas, while increasing the resiliency of the grid for the city. Considering the city's current budget challenges, PG&E would assume the cost, responsibility, and risk associated with building out any new infrastructure necessary to support the unprecedented power needs. We are also establishing a dedicated economic development team to work closely with the city and developers to identify, attract, and serve new customers' electricity needs, and would provide necessary financial support for the staff augmentation to help ensure the collaboration is successful and help reduce budget pressures on the city. This agreement provides assurance for the city and the commitment PG&E needs to make the necessary investments. And as PG&E, we are looking forward to building and investing here in and with the City of San Jose, because we believe that delivering for our hometowns is what will lead us all to success. Our team is here today: Teresa Alvarado, Regional Vice President, Mike Medeiros, Vice President of our South Bay Delivery, and myself, and we're here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina. The city has also engaged in regular meetings with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, to understand their perspective and keep them informed on our efforts. We invited IBEW to come and speak today. I'm not sure if there's somebody in the audience. I'll just pause and check. Okay, we will move on. And I will turn it over to Kip.
Just want to briefly close. My urban planning professor, Dick Smith, used to say that development follows the pipe. And what he meant is that it's either restricted by the unavailability of utilities, or it is following whatever the utility of the moment is most in demand. I believe that the two key pipes that we need to pay attention to in the city of San Jose are water and electricity. And today we're talking about the opportunity to make sure that that electrical pipe stays open. I believe we're in a bit of a magic moment, having watched Silicon Valley for a number of decades now. Our insatiable appetite for data, fueled by greater connectivity, our love of immersive games, our insatiable appetite for cryptocurrency, and now AI, and everything from cat memes to how we write our memos, means that the demand for data centers, cloud storage, and such is at an astronomical level. And the primary impediment to building those out is the availability of electricity and the ability to interconnect to the grid in a reliable fashion. And then for the more residential customers, the conversion over to electricity in terms of EVs, heat pumps that we are both encouraging and expecting, means that more and more small residents will need to have reliable timelines for interconnection and reliable certainty of having that electricity in their homes. For these reasons, we think it's timely to enter into a cooperation agreement with PG&E so that together we can drive the necessary transformations that are necessary in both organizations to improve customer service outcomes. I think the large load customers in particular also have a disproportionate economic and fiscal impact on the city in a positive way, and are something that we want to capture the next generation of talent and retain them here. So what we're asking for today is two things. One is that you delegate us the authority to negotiate and execute this non-binding cooperation agreement, and two, that you direct us further to begin to negotiate a more detailed implementation agreement, which would spell out in a binding way what we are committed to. Our expectation is we would bring back more details on the 21st of March when we have the special session, where we will also study the municipal electric utility. With that, we await your guidance and direction and are available to ask any questions that you have of us.
Great. Thank you all very much. Thanks for all your work on this, as well as those of our partners at PG&E and IBEW. We're going to go to public comment first, and then we'll come back to the council.
I have 3 cards: Brian Darby, Ruth Marino, and Dennis Randall. Please come on down. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you very much. I can't argue with that. Was a very good presentation. I felt absolutely compelled to come here. When I was 6, I was in a fire. I was burned over 40% of my body. I spent a year in the hospital. I survived. A young lady named Fayla McLeod, did not in the Zog fire. Her mother, Elena, and her died trying to escape the fire when their truck went off the road. As I remember it, the details are a little unclear. her mother was covering her. I don't know why God allowed me to survive and her not to. My mother was able to put me out. I live with that all the time. It's affected my life up through now, but I'm grateful for the life that I've been given. I felt absolutely compelled to come here today. My main reason was when the decision was made to accept the final report at the CPUC meeting, there was no admission of any guilt, any wrongdoing, even after all of the other fires that have happened. They put this item on the consent calendar and they wouldn't even say these people's names. I owed it to Fela to at least say her name. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Ruth Marino, and I represent San Jose Community Energy Advocates, a community group. I was shocked when I recently read about PG&E's over $2 billion profits in 2024. These profits are paid for by the residents and businesses of San Jose with their ever-increasing bills. San Jose has an opportunity to make an investment to establish a municipal utility to distribute the electricity to the load that would be served by the 2 new transmission lines. San Jose would be able to set lower rates in line with other municipal utilities, which we've shown in a letter we sent you this morning. Today's recommendation to negotiate agreements sets in motion to first allow PG&E to distribute the electricity from the new lines. We believe it would be more beneficial for San Jose to do this through a municipal utility. In 2017, our group, San Jose Community Energy Advocates, advocated for and the city established San Jose Clean Energy, which has been extremely successful. We are sure that San Jose could do the same with San Jose Power. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Randall. I'm a real estate investor and developer. I apologize for my voice. I'm getting over an illness. I may have started the mayhem a couple years ago when I sold 10 acres of land to LS Power. We owned that land for quite a while. We intended to develop some housing units on it, but it took a little while to get it entitled and put us behind the curve. And so be it. We got a great offer from a great company, and now we have 500 megawatts coming to downtown San Jose. And now we're in the middle of this AI revolution, and it started here in Silicon Valley. And I'm here to tell you that Silicon Valley is at great risk of losing this industry if it doesn't develop the ability to deliver powered data centers that support AI functions immediately. I'm in full support of this proposal. However, ultimately, San Jose needs to have its own municipal utility. PG&E cannot deliver power at the rates or in the timelines required to attract investment here. I wrote a letter to the nascent of San Jose Power, Lori Mitchell, good to see you again, where my company could build San Jose Municipal Power with the first data center to be built in downtown San Jose, plus 400 units of housing. The AI power requirement is such a big deal and has such high margins that it can make things happen very quickly. And this is why I'm asking you.
Thank you. Back to council.
Thank you. Thanks to our public speakers. Coming back to the council, I'm going to start with Councilmember Cohen.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to our city team and to PG&E for
getting us to this point in this discussion on a cooperative agreement. There is no doubt that the success of our city and our economy and the success of PG&E are inextricably linked going forward. We cannot be successful in the things we're trying to do without a strong PG&E and a strong partnership and a strong understanding of the needs we have of PG&E and their willingness to and ability to fulfill those needs. So I'm excited that we're at this point. Obviously, honestly, I feel stronger about our relationship with PG&E now than I have at any time since I've been on council, and I know there's been some growing pains in getting here, and a lot of difficult discussions about whether PG&E is capable of providing us with the energy resources we need. But I'm hopeful that moving forward with an agreement like this will allow us to be able to be successful. And obviously, as the council member who represents North San Jose, where a lot of large development is planned and a lot of tech companies are very reliant on reliable and a large amount of energy, it is important to me, just like it is to our whole city, that that PG&E is able to deliver for them. Now, this conversation today doesn't necessarily end with this, and there's still discussion that will be coming about whether the city will also benefit from having an alternative provider through a municipal utility. That discussion will begin at the study session in a couple weeks, so I'm looking forward to that. But there is no doubt that no matter what the outcome of that discussion is and what the plans are, that we are not going to be moving forward without PG&E as a partner in our energy delivery. So I'm really glad, and I want to thank both teams for getting us to this point in this cooperative agreement. I also want to thank PG&E. We've had some discussions about LS Power and building the lines coming in, and I know that there were some questions about how LS Power was going to get their substation built in the southern line. I've had some great conversations with the Open Space Authority recently and others who are very thankful for the cooperation that PG&E is showing in those discussions about the location of that substation and the location of their yard that's there and how that can all be worked out so that we don't have to sacrifice some other open space to move forward. So thank you for that. I'll just make a motion to accept. There are two memos out there. They're both signed by the same group of 5 of us, but they have different topics, so we felt like it was better to keep them separate. One is a memo that gives some direction on some of the details of negotiation that are happening between the city and PG&E as far as how to staff up the city to be prepared for what's going to be coming as far as growth in North San Jose and in other parts of the city. And then the other is sort of puts in place some questions that I think are important that get addressed in the study session in a couple weeks about what this agreement might mean for the need for a municipal utility or what the timeline would be for needing to make a decision given the timing of the construction of the LS Power lines that are coming into the city in the next 3 years. So I will move the acceptance of both group memos along with staff recommendation.
Great. Thank you. And just before I go into other colleagues, let me offer a couple of additional comments. Thank you for getting that motion out on the table, Councilor Cohen, and for your collaboration through this, yours and all of our colleagues in the Brown Act on this issue. Today is really the culmination of about a year of work since the council gave direction for staff to go engage a variety of partners, PG&E, IBEW, conversations with large load customers, and really understand where the market's going, what its needs are, and what is the best set of partnerships and arrangements and legal framework for being able to serve those customers and facilitate economic development. For colleagues who are not on the council, I want to give just a little bit of context on how we got here. And I'm sure there are many different opinions and plenty of stories and data points and arguments, but at least from my perspective, a big part of the reason we're here was being in a less good place. And I agree with Councilor Cohen that we've made a lot of progress with our partners at PG&E, who in any scenario, as Councilor Cohen mentioned, will continue to be a key infrastructure partner of the city. A few years ago, though, and for a decent stretch of time, we heard from many potential investors in the city that they did not have confidence that they could be connected quickly enough. We also, and that was a set of concerns we heard repeatedly, would love to move forward this, whatever it is, R&D center, data center, build this building, but we're hearing it's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6 years before I can get connected, which is unacceptable and drives investment out and away from our city. I think we also have been grappling for a long time with the reality that one of our nearest neighbors, a very economically robust city of Santa Clara, our friends in Santa Clara with their municipal utility routinely attract investment due to significantly lower energy rates. And so we're in a highly competitive environment. We are often outcompeted in certain uses by our neighbors, and we were facing interconnection rates that were often literally being at least reported back to us by large load customers as being 5, 6 years out when people wanted to invest today, which effectively put a freeze on certain types of new investment in our city. Then Mayor Liccardo and the council at the time, dealing with this context, this reality, began, along with our climate smart goals and all the other ingredients to this policy conversation, to say, well, what other options do we have? In our conversations with PG&E over the last year, I think it's fair to say, and Kip and others should correct me if I'm mischaracterizing this, I think staff has, and I think we have this recommendation before us to move toward a binding agreement. Today is not a binding agreement. It's a cooperation agreement to move toward a more detailed binding agreement. Felt that our working relationship with PG&E, PG&E's own capacity and investment in our city and their position as a company is substantially, in a substantially better place. It enables us to be in a better place than what we were hearing from the market a few years ago. And I think, to be fair, there are still real questions about these core issues of speed of connection, cost, and just the certainty that we can give to the market that if they want to build a data center in San Jose, a new manufacturing plant, multi-family housing, whatever it might be, a new sports entertainment district somewhere, whatever it is, that it's going to happen quickly, cost effectively, and they can have confidence. And so that's what I think we're grappling with here. And I don't think we're going to answer all that today. I am supportive of the motion, obviously, signed on to both the memos. I've had great conversations with the team. I want to thank CEO Patty Poppy, who I've spent a lot of time with over the last year, and I think is really striving to reinvent the company from a partnership perspective and has made San Jose a priority, and I am grateful to her and the team for that. And then, of course, Teresa Alvarado, Mike Madero, and Christina Ramos on the team, who have been incredibly responsive. And I'm very hopeful that as we look to this investment, that there's a real opportunity to do this together, and that may be our path of least costs and risk from a city perspective, which we also have to take into account on the other end. Are we equipped to get into a new line of business, hire new staff, and take on all that staffing and risk of doing it ourselves? The grass is always greener on the other side, and then you get into it and realize that's actually more complicated than I thought. So I'm mindful of that as well. So I just want to kind of lay out high level the contours of what I think we've been working on over the last year plus. The big question, and I just want to pose this to Kip and the team. For me, part of the litmus test here for how we proceed is what we're hearing from the market. That's at least what made me interested in this a few years ago, the frustrations I was hearing. And I guess, Kip, and I'm sure we'll say more in the study session, but could you just give us a little context on what you were hearing from potential large load customers who could bring significant investment to our city about how they feel about the potential for a binding agreement between the city and PG&E that would have PG&E serving that load, particularly in the two areas where we anticipate the most investment in the coming years, which are downtown West and North San Jose. And can you just give us a little more flavor on what are you hearing from the market today, and is it very different from what we were hearing a few years ago?
Yeah, as I've listened and learned into this, part of what we've heard very clearly from these large load customers and the folks who are driving this market is that certainty of load, how much megawatts they want, is extremely important to them. Speed of connection is extremely important to them. Cost is important to them, but they are able to tolerate, for the most part, the costs that are associated with this if they can get the certainty and speed, so that the capital dollars that they're investing are actually have an outcome of a data center or a manufacturing lab or the other large load uses we've been hearing about. PG&E did what they call a cluster study where they analyzed more comprehensively the demand. They've seen just an unprecedented amount of demand, which actually might double the amount of electricity that we consume in the city of San Jose based on their studies. And what they've started to do is rapidly look at what that means for their whole system, including a lot of the substations which will need to be rebuilt or significantly modified. I've never seen anything like this in terms of the amount of demand for the market in the 25 years that I've been paying close attention to this. And people who have a lot of money to back up what they're saying have essentially told me, look, if I've got a site and the entitlement is clear, if I can get certainty on that interconnection, I would be ready to file and start building right away. In fact, I would have wished I would have done that yesterday. So it's really is an extreme level of demand that outpaces anything that I certainly saw as recently as 3 years ago, and appears to be not only here in Silicon Valley, but across North America and the globe, from what I've heard both from national colleagues and international colleagues, which also suggests that capital will go where it finds an opportunity as quickly as possible. So we have a short window to demonstrate our ability that we can move at the speed of business. Otherwise, other places will begin to see this investment. But for the moment, it feels like the stack rank is certainty and speed, and cost for some of these usages is always important, but they're able to manage the costs, and it is less important at the moment than we've heard in the past.
And thank you for all that. And what are potential large load customers saying specifically about their faith in our ability to meet their needs, for them to be able to deploy capital in these areas or others in the city, if this is if our arrangement going forward is to move toward this binding agreement with PG&E? Yeah,
I think, you know, as all of us, these are very pragmatic people who you know, talk is cheap and the proof is in the pudding, as Councilmember Dando used to say. I believe what they're looking for from us, and what we've heard they want from us, is an ability to transparently understand those timelines and look together with PG&E at those timelines so that we can hold each other accountable. And where there are gaps on the city side, make those changes. Where there are gaps on the PG&E side, push for those changes. And where there's a new way of doing business, do it. They want us to do everything possible to speed that up. I wouldn't say they have confidence that we can do it, but they are optimistic that this is the right direction. If we really actually deliver not only on the process changes, but to one of the points in the interim is to make sure we do what is necessary to prioritize these large load customers. So I think there's a lot of expectation there, there's a lot of hope there, but it's still yet to be seen whether we can deliver on that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's an ongoing conversation. We have the study session coming up. I think we'll pick this up there. We'll be coming back, presumably, in the not-too-distant future with a draft binding agreement. I was going to say the proof's in the pudding, and maybe I was channeling former Councilmember Dando here, but I think for me in downtown West, the viability of this looks like large load customers saying, we're likely to move forward and we're happy with this arrangement and this feels good to us, and the more concrete the better. And in North San Jose, and I'll comment on this more during the study session and in the March budget message, but it looks like viable applications to develop our economic development land in the reasonably near term, not people saying, sorry, at this speed, cost, certainty configuration, we're not ready to pull the trigger now, because we know the demand's out there, the market is there, and we're seeing investment in massive data centers in Texas, Virginia, and all over the country. And if we don't have real interest that's leading to real commitments, that's leading to shovels in the ground soon, then clearly something about our certainty, speed, and cost triangle is not optimized how it needs to be. There is no excuse for this capital investment to not flow into San Jose very quickly as this new load, this new capacity comes online to serve that demand, that load. So, okay, hopefully that was useful context for newer council members. Let me, we've got a motion on the floor, it includes the staff rec and the 2 memos. Let me turn to colleagues for additional questions and comments. Councilmember Dewan.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, staff, for working on this for many years now. I have several questions. First of all, I like to acknowledge that Councilmember Cohen clearly stated that doesn't matter which way we turn, PG&E will always be our partner, because even if we truly on our own power, we still need the PG&E infrastructure for transmission. One way or another, PG&E will be there. But my concern is when we have this large amount of power that going toward the north side of San Jose, and nothing is for free. There's always those investment and costs, and we know that PG&E have done, they filed for bankruptcy and many different fires and so on. How is that going to affect our residents here in San Jose? Will it cause the rate to go up because, all the infrastructures and the power lines and so on?
I'll speak to it briefly, and if PG&E would like to add anything, I'll make sure that I have not mischaracterized them. The wildfire risks are always there, and that is always a potential cost for PG&E and any other utility. I'll speak more directly to what we're talking about in North San Jose and downtown. Our understanding, as we've done our own analysis, and our understanding as we've talked with PG&E about this, is so you have the transmission infrastructure, which is the high voltage kind of network system that moves the electricity and the electrons around the state and beyond. And then you have the distribution system, which takes it from the transmission system to the actual building and steps it down and makes it usable for power. So much of what PG&E would be building out in this is primarily the distribution infrastructure. And the distribution infrastructure for these large load customers is a very good line of business for PG&E that ultimately can be part of what makes them financially solvent truly in the long run, and that can either result in both greater profits for them and or potentially lower costs for rates. That's more their decision as a business and the regulators on how that goes forward. But in terms of will they become more stable or less stable because of this, we believe that doing this in partnership with them will create a more stable business environment for them that will make them a more reliable partner in the future. And so we believe that in addition to the benefits for us, there are potential business benefits for them in this line, as what we've been seeing across North America in particular, again, is many of these investor-owned utilities and municipal utilities are looking at this kind of build-out of infrastructure to make sure their bottom lines are secure and sound. Mike, could you add on a little bit more from the people who actually know what they're talking about?
Is this on? Okay, great. Mike Medeiros, Vice President, South Bay Delivery. I just wanted to make 2 points. Mr. Mayor, to your point earlier, we probably haven't done a good enough job advertising, but we currently have agreements signed with customers who want to build in San Jose that are equal to 1.1 gigawatts. That's just over a megawatt, 1,000 megawatts of customers who want to locate in San Jose, and they're doing that because we can meet their timeline. So I think that's an important point. The other thing that I would raise to the point that was just raised is we've done some work based on our current customers who want to connect to our system. And our analysis shows that for every gigawatt connected to the PG&E system, all customers can benefit by about 1% to 2% cost savings. So we think there's a huge opportunity from getting beneficial load, new load growth on our system that not just only benefits the local municipalities where they're going to locate, but benefits all of our customers in the form of lower cost. Because you can increase your if you keep your numerator low, but you grow your denominator, you allocate your cost over more customer sales.
So when you mentioned the 1% to 2% cost saving, now I know that with our green power purchase, we get some cost saving, but then our PG&E transmission line cost goes up. It doesn't reflect the saving to our constituent, and I don't think in my lifetime I have seen PG&E have gone less, but have always gone asking for more.
Yeah, our analysis shows that through load growth that we're talking about now, that when that load does connect to the system, we will see lower cost of 1% to 2%. That's our current analysis. So the more load that we can attract to our system, the more benefit all customers should receive.
So back in 2023, staff identified San Jose Power would allow for 15 to 20% cost saving. Is this percentage still accurate?
That's probably in the right range. We'll come, it may be a little bit more, a little bit less. We'll come back with some more detail, but that would be specifically for any areas that we served, which would always be a minority of the city in any case. But yes, we believe just to get ahead of ourselves a little bit, our analysis suggests that a municipal electric utility startup could provide lower rates than PG&E as a competitor.
Thank you. Is there a clear exit strategy for the city if, with the minimal cost implication and negative impact on the constituent?
Yeah, that's a fair question. The way this cooperation agreement is framed with the added direction that you've given us, the costs are flowing from PG&E to us. So this is actually a boost for us to allow us to proactively do the economic development, the coordination, the improvement on our processes and permitting. So there's not, most of the benefits accruing from this in terms of immediate financial gain are related to us on the city side being able to improve our capabilities and our capacity to move faster. What we envision also and what we've talked about, PG&E is very much interested in being the provider of this distribution infrastructure citywide. One of the alternatives, and we'll discuss more on the 21st, is that we do have potentially the option of standing up a municipal electric utility if these measures aren't met. And so I don't see financial risk from us in entering into this, especially if we are able to keep a close eye on how the market responds. And as Mike Medeiros indicated, they have very strong not only interest, but actually commitment from customers that would nearly or more than double the amount of electricity that's being transmitted into and distributed into the city of San Jose. So we believe that what we want to do with this is keep a sharp eye on the market and together with PG&E look to see that we're meeting the demands. We'll have an opportunity to pull back from it if we don't think it's successful, but we think the risk is more on PG&E's side than ours, quite frankly, because we are looking for investments from them to increase our internal capabilities.
Thank you. And on page 3 on the memo, mentioned that utilizing San Jose Power to power to city infrastructure at the regional wastewater treatment plant. What other city-owned infrastructure will also be included in that,
Yeah, this was intended to indicate that we currently do provide cogeneration of electricity at the regional wastewater facility, and we wanted to make sure that any agreement that we entered into was clear that that was an ongoing and permitted use and didn't preclude us from continuing to generate our own electricity as we do now for the regional wastewater facility and potentially expand that as we build out the regional wastewater facility. Those details we'll get into in the implementation agreement, but I believe we have a conceptual understanding with PG&E that would allow us to continue to do that use. And that's not technically San Jose Power at this point, it's just actually part of the Environmental Services Department.
The second question is any other city-owned infrastructure will be included in that?
At this point, we don't have any plans to expand electrical production to other city-owned infrastructure. We've looked at the possibility as part of the evaluation of powering the airport and powering the regional wastewater facility in its entirety. But at this point, what we're trying to do is make sure that we preserve what we are currently doing as part of this agreement.
Thank you. And then in the study session, is there a clear term for terminating the cooperative agreement if PG&E failed to meet their obligation?
Yes, absolutely. First, if we don't successfully enter into an implementation agreement, the agreement would lapse. And within the implementation agreement, what we've envisioned together is a series of check-ins, probably on a monthly basis, but formal check-ins about every 6 months, with the ability to identify where we're off track, and then with the ability to offer a cure period to PG&E if they're off track. So we would have the ability, if they stay off track on these key large load customers in particular in North San Jose and downtown, that we would have the grounds for terminating the agreement if they weren't successful. Infrastructure takes a long time to do, and so we need to make sure there's reasonable cure periods, and we'll negotiate that in the implementation agreement. The other thing that we're contemplating as we go forward is making sure that we don't take off the table too quickly the ability to potentially stand up a municipal electric utility if needed. Because again, getting a little bit ahead of myself, that is clearly something that is a fallback position that might be valuable to have for us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember. Let's go to Vice Mayor Foley.
Thank you. The devil's always in the detail, and there's a lot of detail in this agreement and then in the two memos that I co-authored. I appreciate the conversations that PG&E has had with our staff in relation to providing reliable service to our high-end customers, our big load customers. But what I'd like to talk about a little bit is our heartbeat customers. They're the residents who live in District 9 and live in most of our districts. And frankly, since I have PG&E in the room, they're not quite happy because they hear delays to service that they need to connect their increased power grid at their home for solar panels or other things that they need to do. They hear constant delays. So I'm hoping that this agreement really affects the heartbeat customer, our residents, as much as it affects the AI customers and the big businesses that will be able to bring downtown and into North San Jose. Both are important, but the heartbeat customers are our residents for the most part. The others can truly fuel our economy and cause rapid growth and wonderful benefits in downtown San Jose in particular. So we need that reliability of service from PG&E, but more importantly, we need the responsiveness from them at all levels. We know that matters to the individual customers. I just received calls today from individuals who are trying to build a few homes in the District 9 area, and they're having trouble getting any response from PG&E. So these conversations still happen. I'm glad we're having this conversation now, and I hope that we go forward with this agreement because it will enable us to continue to be at the forefront on bringing up these kind of conversations and pushing to look out for the best interest of all of our community in the city of San Jose. There is one area that I do want to talk about, and Councilmember Cohen briefly mentioned it, and that's the wildlife connectivity in Coyote Valley as it relates to LS Power. I know you're in conversation. There's reasons that it would be beneficial to have LS Power co-locate at Metcalf, and I don't want to get into that right now, but what I'd like to know is it possible to include some information at the study session on the 21st about that location, about the LS Power and Coyote Valley and how we might be able to protect wildlife down there and the connectivity and in inclusion with PG&E?
At this point, it's not agendized as such, and it's more of a conversation between LS Power and PG&E, but if directed to do so, I'm sure we could bring something forward. Yes?
Would the maker of the motion include that as a friendly amendment?
Sure. I mean, as you know, I'm a big proponent of making sure this conversation continues productively.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
I mean, I don't want, thank you for including that, and I don't want it to dominate the conversation. I want it to just be a part of the conversation that we're always thoughtful about what's happening in Coyote Valley.
Understood.
Thank you.
And Vice Mayor, just for the record, will you just frame up the friendly amendment, and then I'll ask the maker of the motion and the seconder?
That we include information in the March 21st meeting about LS Power Project, how it impacts Coyote Valley and the potential of co-location for the high voltage terminal with Metcalf.
Perfect. Thank you.
Let me just clarify that. You said on the 21st you're bringing back the cooperative, the more detailed agreement that you're working out. So there's two items on the 21st agenda. One is on the work that the city's doing to explore municipal utility, and the other will be the agreement with PG&E. So I would say this fits in with the PG&E agreement piece and not the other.
Yes.
And is there a chance that that's not going to be back on the 21st and it's going to be a different date?
Not if I'm there.
Okay.
So I do have a little bit of just a concern or clarification here. In my mind, what we would bring back is just maybe a high-level update on the conversations that PG&E is having with LS Power. I'm not in a position to analyze the impacts on Coyote Valley or the wildlife at this point, because we don't have any council policy adopting a wildlife corridor or any framework that I can work from to say how I'm going to evaluate this or the other. We've worked in tight coordination with our planning department to make sure that we're in adherence with all the general plan, zoning, regulations that we have, but in the absence of any formal guidance from the city, I'm not in a position to be evaluating the impact on wildlife.
That's perfectly acceptable, Kip.
Okay.
I'm okay with the amendments, by the way.
Okay, so you will comment, just so staff is clear, you're okay commenting on those issues in the study session? I just want to make sure I understand the amendment.
I think what I've been asked to do,
Yeah.
and what I'm looking back here to make sure is appropriate, is I'll actually ask LS Power and PG&E to provide we'll probably create a slide that updates on their conversations and where they are, and that they would be available for questions to council at that point.
Okay, so assuming that's feasible, contingent upon our partner's ability to do it, that's the
Right,
that's
and they're in
included.
negotiations right now, which are not public negotiations, so there
Understood.
are things that they might be able to disclose and not, but I think I can reasonably say that they are working together right now and are hopeful that they have a path forward.
All right, so as much information as is possible at that time. Right. Great, okay, with the maker and the seconder, great, thank you. Okay, let's go to Councilmember Kameh.
Thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you for the collaboration. I think that we've come a long way in a short amount of time, considering. And, you know, I want to thank the local team for being responsive. Certainly, we've been partners for a long time, and this brings it up to a second level or a higher level to be able to do much more for the community. One of the things, I share the same concerns as my colleagues in terms of the regular customer, as Vice Mayor Foley has said, the heartbeat customers. And, you know, I was trying to think of this in a more holistic approach in terms of, yes, we want to attract the large load customers. Yes, we want investments, but we don't want them at the expense of our regular, you know, day-to-day customers. I too have received many concerns just about the speed at which PG&E, and it had, you know, been happening for quite some time, the reliability as well as the timeliness of getting connections that has taken years for some of my residents. And I think that that sentiment is very, very strong in the community. And I know we're trying to move on to a better place. And I think that we have come a long way, I will say. But I just want to have that more holistic approach. And that improvements really are not just on this sort of system, the new part, but that there are improvements throughout the system to make it much more reliable and in a more timely way. So, you know, I also want to bring up something that has not been brought up, and I know that we are talking about the electrical side, but PG&E is gas and electric. And I know that thinking, because these projects take many, many years to come to fruition, as we're thinking of electrical, we also need to start thinking about not just the large load customers, but the need for more energy electrical to begin with, right? Because as we start looking at the gas side of the equation and conversions happening more towards electrical, that makes a difference in the equation. So, you know, the relationship of gas to this eventually is going to make a difference. And it's not going to happen fast, but I do think that we can't just say, oh, you know, we're only working on the electrical and don't look over there because, you know, that's not a part of it or anything like that. But I think that if we are going to move big into electrical, that we ought to think about the whole pie and not just, you know, like 3/4 of a pie or whatever. So I would encourage some thought about that. I also have residents who are very concerned about the conversion and the requirements to move to electrical from gas in the very near future. I mean, we're talking 2027. And so I think that's something that I want to make sure that is kept in mind. So when we come back with the information in our work study session, I too would like to just have the information that Vice Mayor Foley mentioned on the Ellis Power co-locating, because I think that that would be a tremendous benefit for that corridor. Not looking into the details of the wildlife, but we have an investment as a city in that area, and I think that it would be helpful to get that information. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember. I appreciate your comments, and I think in an attempt to be responsive to this question of not wanting to have any impacts on our heartbeat customers, we included in our group memo recommendation 4. And that says the potential expansion of PG&E's annual permit with measurable success metrics to track and improve day-to-day service delivery for San Jose's regular PG&E customers. So we did want to be very mindful of any impacts, and I'm going to maybe ask Mike Medeiros or whomever from PG&E to comment on this. But the reason we're here and the primary scope of this conversation is about the new transmission lines coming into downtown West and North San Jose. So we are really talking specifically, or at least primarily, about new load in our 2 areas where we expect future economic growth, and whether or not that load will be served by San Jose Power or PG&E. That's the fundamental question on the table. What I think, and the reason I wanted to point to Mike or whoever's the best person from PG&E is, I think what you will hear, because I've spoken with PG&E's CEO about this a few times, we included a mention of the heartbeat customers because we have a parallel body of work that can help facilitate, if we're going forward together, better coordination, better communication, greater speed, and our ability to serve new load better, that should also enable us to better address the needs of existing customers. Now, on the question of cost, I think what Mike is saying, and maybe Mike Medeiros wants to repeat this, is without growth, it actually becomes harder to properly staff up and serve the heartbeat customers because you always have cost escalate. Your costs go up over time, just as we see in the city of San Jose. So unless the base is growing, it's very hard to properly staff up and do either well. And so, Mike, is that accurate? Do you want to reiterate your point about this is really about the infrastructure in these 2 areas where we're expecting economic development, but we're including the heartbeat customer, and there is a nexus there. And I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, I think you said it right, Mr. Mayor, that, yeah, costs are going to go up, but to the extent that you have more sales, you're growing your sales base, which you can then allocate those costs over, you're going to see a reduction in your price per kilowatt hour. And then just to the heartbeat, 2 things. This past year, we collaborated with the city to do a problem-solving exercise on permitting here in the city. And the 2 teams combined came up with over 200 potential ideas where we could partner to potentially drive efficiencies. And where that's important is we have a lot of work to do within the city of San Jose, reliability work, new business connections, et cetera. To the extent that we can find efficiencies and a better way to get work through the permitting challenges, that's going to benefit your constituents and our customers. So we continue to look through that. We continue to understand the importance of being able to do that, and we think that we're making good progress, and I think the cooperation agreement continues to emphasize that.
Okay. Thank you. All right, let's keep going. Councilmember Salas.
I just want to mention that I've only been a council member for 5 weeks, but for 50 years I worked with all the investor-owned utilities in the state, and many of them municipal-owned utilities. And it's always the same problem. Even just 3 years ago, we had a problem with a data center at Santa Clara. They didn't have enough power. So I just wanted to thank staff and thank PG&E for moving forward in this forward-thinking way, because it's just going to we need more power. We're always going to need more power. So I just wanted to thank everyone and stand back. Oh, and also for the memos. Thank you for issuing those memos today. It was very, very nice to see that addition.
You bet. You're going to have to stop qualifying that you've only been here 5 weeks, Carl. You're contributing a lot, but thank you. Okay, let's go to Councilmember Campos.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you to our city staff for your work with PG&E on reaching a cooperation agreement that is going to support our city as it grows. I also wanted to express my support of the memo authored by Mayor Mahan, Vice Mayor Foley, Council Members Kamei, Candelas, and Cohen. And really, I appreciate the remarks by Vice Mayor Foley, Councilmember Cohen, and Kamei, acknowledging the land use implications of this very important work. I am very glad to hear that conversations between PG&E and LS Power are promising to ensure that we're making thoughtful decisions about our environmentally sensitive geographies that are impacted by our power needs. It's very clear to me that our city needs to improve its infrastructure to remain competitive as a place of employment and economic development, and I am grateful to PG&E, our city staff, and my council colleagues for your thoughtfulness and leadership on this issue. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments. I know I, for one, have learned a lot about this space over the last year. Let's go to Councilmember Cohen.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment based on something that Councilmember Kamei mentioned about conversion, electrification, and the concerns around that. We, at the T&E committee yesterday, referred to the council on April 8th, our report on, or our update on the clean energy roadmap, which has programs in it to help facilitate and provide resources to people to help them with the electrification. So that will be coming to council in a month, and we'll have a good discussion there on that topic. Be a good opportunity for PG&E to even be here to share with us about some of the work that they're doing on electrification. I know that you have a demonstration center coming into downtown San Jose where people can come and learn about electric appliances and how to electrify their homes. So maybe we can also build some partnership there as we move towards electrification of our economy in San Jose.
Great. Thanks for adding that, Councilmember. Okay. Got a motion. Thanks to everybody for all of their work on this. Thank you, PG&E. Let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great. Thank you all. Okay. We are on to item 3.5, annual report on the Measure T bond program proceeds and allocations for fiscal year 23-24. We have a presentation from our Oversight Committee. So we'll just give folks a moment to come down and settle in. All right, are you all ready to go?
Yes, thank you.
All right, feel free.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council. My name is Sal Kumar, Deputy Director of Public Works. I'm here with 3 members of the Community Oversight Committee for Measure T program to present their findings on last year's financial audit report on the Measure T program. Please note, today's presentation is on last year's findings on the report, which ended last year in June 2024. And in 3 weeks, we'll be returning back to Council to provide the current status on projects for on the Measure T project. So we'll be returning back in 3 weeks on March 25 to provide you on the details and the status of current projects. With that, I'd like to introduce Gary Cunningham, who's the chair of the COC, for introductions and presentations. Thank you. All right.
and with my colleagues, Shruti Chandrastar, Vice Chair, and Nicholas Cochran, the previous COC Chair. How's this work? This covers, as Sal just mentioned, covers last year, ending June 30th, 2024. Our findings and conclusions of the FY finding 23-24. The COC overview includes the bond issuance and related expenditures that have been reviewed by the COC to ensure the proceeds have been issued or used with the spending categories defined and authorized by Measure T and expended on a timely basis to ensure that municipal bonds issued retain their tax-exempt status. And this committee has reported to this body a couple of years now about the tax-exempt status issues and how they're being handled. This is an overview of the bonds. 2018, the bonds authorized $650 million. Total bonds issued to date, $440.4 million, and the remaining bond issuance at $209.6 million. This is an overview of the bond program audited use of funds throughout the program starting in 2019. Shows the 5 categories and expenditures of the funds over those years. The total audited use of funds to date is $348,158,093. Our observations and comments: continued low rate of Measure T spending versus DPW's planned spending continues to be a concern. From the start of the program to present, 79% of the $440 million proceeds have been spent. And so the spending rate versus what the time remaining is a concern to us, as well as tied in with the tax measure exemptions for tax measures. Delays and/or deferrals of planned spending serve to push out completion of affected Measure T projects and increases the risk of serious cost overruns. Public safety projects are considerable financial budget risk and are most likely Measure T products to be negatively affected by any further delays and cost overruns. Currently, $70 million of realized and expected project overruns have already been funded from the $85 million public safety reserve funding, leaving limited reserves available to future shortfalls. An item not on here is that the third tranche bond issue is scheduled to occur this year, and the COC anticipates that we will be reviewing this tranche, how it's going to be funded before it's issued and before for final approval. Specific recommendations: prioritize public safety projects slated to receive Measure T funds. Right now, we just mentioned the $70 million overrun with the project safety, public safety projects. We feel that establishing public safety project priorities enables the City Council to make timely mid-cost spending corrections, affect necessary project rescoping, or make important project shelving decisions. Such actions, if such actions become necessary, we need to rank or look at the total scope of the projects remaining and how we want to handle them as far as prioritizing them. And then the last issue is filling vacant seats. We currently have 4 vacant CO seats remaining that need to be filled by council members for their appropriate districts. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate you chairing this committee. Shruti, Nicholas, thank you and your colleagues for serving our community in this way. Oversight's a really important role. I appreciate you highlighting the vacant seats. I know my team and I put forward 2 recommendations and want to encourage other council offices to consider drafting constituents to serve on this and other bodies to make sure that they have the capacity to do the work for which they were formed. Tony, let's turn to public comment. Do we have any comment cards?
Yes, I have Churchill and Brian Darby.
Great.
Come on down, you have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name's Elena Churchill. This is my second City Hall town meeting. I'm here to show you what the face of homelessness looks like. It's me. This is my public safety announcement to Pam Foley, Mayor Matt Mahan. I've been trying to reach you every day, leaving voicemail messages. Not once has your people from your offices returned or even sent me a letter in the mail. It's a problem. Apple's a problem. I got locked Wi-Fi, nefarious networks on 3 iPhones, and I am homeless. It's one of these issues that need to be addressed, and I cannot get it addressed through the channels that are available, like the San Jose Police Department. So I am looking for you guys for help. I've been trying to get in contact with your people, trying to make an in-person appointment because communications for me do not work. If I can get any help in that regard, that'd be great, so I can address my concerns in detail in private. I have 2 children I dearly love and miss, and I'd like reunification I have not seen in 3 years because of this public safety problem of mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Thank you again. I hope this isn't too off topic, but just in the emergency disaster, please include amateur radio, and that would be one of the only lines of communication if everything else goes down. Thank you.
Back to council.
Thank you. Turning back to the council. Sorry, get my screen going here. It's in your hands. Let me just follow up on something that was raised in the presentation. Just curious if staff could comment on the spending levels, the IRS requirement, and whether or not we have any concerns about meeting our IRS requirements or the impacts of inflation. Obviously, I appreciate Public Works was pushing to deliver on time and on budget, but I just, given that ratio of how much has been spent and the requirement of 85% of issuance, I was just hoping staff could comment. Do we have staff here that can do that? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of Council. My name is Chen Yu-Xiang, Deputy Director of Finance for Debt and Treasury. Regarding the spending of the Measure T bond funds, we are a little bit behind the schedule. There are 2 tranches of bonds have been issued. There are 2019 and 2021 bonds. And then 2019, I just took a look of all the bond proceeds have been issued in 2019. We have about 10% of the proceeds from the tax-exempt portion is still remaining. The tax law requires us to spending 85% of the bond proceeds within 3 years of the bond issuance. So for 2019 bonds, we have spent more than 85%, but we need to have to look back to see if truly 85% have been spent by 2022, because 3 years from 2019 is 2022. Regarding the second tranche of the Measure T bonds of 2021, 3-year mark ends in July 2024. But as of today, right now, I just look at the bond proceeds balance, so we have about 41% of the bond proceeds still outstanding, still not being spent. So we did not meet the 85% spend down requirement within 3 years for the 2021 Measure T bonds. But failing to spend 85% of the bond proceeds within 3 years of bond issuance does not mean the city will lose the tax-exempt status for the bonds. It just says we might be subject to IRS or audits. So far, we have not received any IRS audit request. At the advice of our bond counsel, we have been documenting the city's project progress and then spending efforts in the internal memo files. So we have been doing that for all the 2019 bonds and then 2021 bonds.
Okay, thank you, Chinyu. I appreciate that. Okay, let me turn to colleagues. Councilmember Kameh.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I personally want to thank the committee. Gary, as chair, you've been really driving this, and I appreciate it. I know it takes a lot of time and effort, and I want to thank Shruti as well as Nicholas, who take time out of your busy day to review things, go to the committee meetings, and all of that. I want to encourage my colleagues to submit names. I will also think about who else might be eligible to be part of your committees for your 4 vacancies, because I think that this committee has been really doing a lot of work. But thank you, Gary. I really appreciate it. I know that when these things come forward, they're going to be looked at very carefully, and so I have a lot of confidence in that. In terms of the spending, I know it's been an issue for a few years, at least, that has been presented to us, and that's something that we will continue to keep an eye on and make sure. And I like the fact that we are prioritizing the safety projects, so we will certainly keep that going. But thank you so much.
Thanks. Councilmember, did you want to make a motion?
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Kamei. I just want to say the credibility of the committee, when all the pushback, and I think Councilmember can verify that, most of the meetings that we're at, when there's a bond measure, a tax measure, the pushback is that the funds are not being spent for what we vote for, okay? This particular committee, and there's also another committee I was on, it was an oversight committee, did report on how the funds were being spent with respect to what the measure said when it was voted on. There was a community in this area, I forget where it is, I don't know, it's Northern California, it was in the area, it's publicized in the paper, that the tax measure, that the city admitted that the tax measure funds were not being spent for what the tax measure was spent on. And there was a flap about that. So an effective oversight committee, I'm not speaking for myself, for this committee, but just in general, gives credibility going forward for you people when you put out a tax measure, a bond measure, that you have effective oversight being performed on these measures. It sells your tax measure or bond measure. So it's important. I appreciate you giving us a platform to speak here, but it, it sells what you're trying to do for the city. It makes that work. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gary. You're right. It's a critical function. Councilmember, did you have a motion or any additional comments?
Yes. I'd like to move acceptance of the Measure T Committee Oversight Committee Annual Report on the Measure T.
Second. Great. Thank you. Okay. Tony, let's vote. Great.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. And thanks again to our committee members. We appreciate it. All right, we're on to item 6.1, amended and restated storage services agreement with Yellow Pine Solar 3 for battery storage facility. We have a brief staff presentation. Great, and Zach, feel free to jump in whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Zach Strike, Acting Director in the Energy Department. I'm joined by Paul Inamorato, Deputy Director of our Power Resources team. So first, this is one of our long-term power agreements, and just want to take a moment to recognize the extraordinary work the team has made to contract from a standing start in 2019 of 0, has gotten to over 1 gigawatt of long-term projects, a diversity of type of generation resource, as well as you can see the geographic diversity of the projects, ranging from a 2 megawatt community solar project all the way up to a 255 megawatt wind project. And with that, I'll hand to Paul.
Thank you, Zach. Paul Inamorato, Deputy Director, Power Resources for the Energy Division. Today, we're requesting an amendment to an existing agreement with Yellow Pine Solar 3. It's being developed by NextEra Energy Resources. This is a battery storage facility located in Clark County, Nevada. The agreement was originally approved by Council in January of 2023 and is in need of an amendment for reasons we'll discuss later in the presentation. The agreement will deliver 3 products, a little industry jargon heavy, resource adequacy, tolling rights, and midterm reliability capacity. Resource adequacy is a state requirement for electrical service providers like San Jose Clean Energy to ensure they have sufficient capacity under contract to meet their peak electric demand. Tolling rights is a fancy way of saying we get to charge and discharge the resource as we see fit. And midterm reliability, we have a slide on a little later, that is also a state mandate that requires electric service providers to contract for new incremental capacity within California ISO. The agreement is up to 23 years, no less than 20 years, and the price will be fixed with no escalation for the entire term of the agreement. Max annual contract cost is just under $5.3 million with a lifetime total just under $111 million. So this agreement is being amended really for reasons outside of NextEra's control. There's a transmission system upgrade that's necessary to deliver the products we just discussed. They were originally scheduled to be delivered June 2025. However, the tolling portion, that ability to charge and discharge, is not deliverable until June of 2027, and the resource adequacy component is not deliverable until June of 2028. So the amendment will move out those commercial online dates. It includes up to an additional 3 years of that ability to charge and discharge the resource in line with our electric demand. And then in consideration for the delay, the price will be reduced and again remains fixed for the term of the contract. NextEra may also have an additional 40% of volume available. So today's authority would give us the ability to amend the contract for that additional volume, but no less than the original volume. And the table here shows the difference in max and lifetime totals. So one of the key reasons for this agreement in the first place is in response to the California Public Utility Commission's mandates for electric service providers to bring online new incremental capacity. And this is really a pathway to ensure reliability of the system as more and more demand comes online. The decisions from the CPUC do have some specifics around technology requirements. Energy storage is one of them, and particular online dates of which Yellow Pine 3 would qualify for in June of 2028. San Jose Clean Energy has been compliant with these requirements, and again, Yellow Pine 3 would continue to contribute towards that compliance. Failure to procure would result in the PUC ordering PG&E to backstop that procurement and allocate those costs to San Jose Clean Energy, and additional penalties could apply. So again, Yellow Pine 3 is in response to the CPUC mandate, in addition to supporting our 2022 Integrated Resource Plan and our ongoing resource adequacy requirements. So again, the delay is being caused by transmission system upgrades that are necessary. NextEra is not involved in those transmission upgrades directly. Southern California Edison and LADWP do have to conduct a series of upgrades to ensure the project can be deliverable to the grid. Those upgrades need to take place in pretty tight coordination with the California system operator, and that makes for a very tight timeline, and that has in turn been extended through through 2027. That upgrade is not only impactful to the project we're talking about today, but it's also impactful to about a dozen other projects, not necessarily San Jose Clean Energy or NextEra's projects. So both the developer and San Jose Clean Energy have alerted key policymakers of the importance of these upgrades and doing so in a timely manner. Just a little bit on NextEra Energy Resources. They're one of the world's largest developers of renewable resources. They operate about 72 gigawatts of resources globally, and while NextEra Energy Resources Development is not publicly traded, their parent organization, NextEra Energy, is publicly traded. Yeah, and so with that, we recommend an amendment resolution that would allow us to implement this amendment.
Great. Thank you for the thorough report. Let's turn to public comment first, if we have any.
I have no cards for this item.
Okay, coming back to the council. Colleagues, do we have questions or a motion?
Second.
Okay. Not seeing any other hands. Tony, let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great. Thank you. All right. We are on to item 8.1, lease extension and improvements agreement with DBH San Jose LLC for the San Jose Municipal Stadium. We have a presentation, and I see we have a few San Jose Giants fans. Welcome.
Mayor and members of the council, good afternoon. I'm Nancy Klein, Director of Office of Economic Development and Cultural Affairs, and I'm here with Kevin Ice, Director of Real Estate for OEDCA. We are really excited to be here with an agreement we have reached to support the San Jose Giants at Excite Ballpark. The current lease, if you would run to the next. The current lease runs until December 21, 2027, and the new agreement we are proposing goes until December 21st, 2050, an additional 25 years. The stadium is certainly in need of improvements. The Giants under this agreement will be investing $20+ million into the facility. The improvements proposed include a new approximately 18,000 square foot clubhouse building, and many of the planned improvements will bring the facility into compliance with Major League Baseball standards. With that, I will turn the presentation over to Kevin to review the highlights of the terms and of the agreement.
Thank you, Nancy. Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Ice, Director of Real Estate, Assistant to the City Manager in the Office of Economic Development and Cultural Affairs. I'll run you through the key terms of the lease restatement. But first, the picture you see here is the 83-year-old municipal stadium known as Excite Ballpark. Over the years, Excite Ballpark has been the home to the San Jose Red Sox and the San Jose Expos. But since 1988, it has been the home of the San Jose Giants. San Jose State Spartans baseball and regional high school championships also play at Excite. The stadium is an important public asset. The events it hosts provide a family-friendly entertainment option at an affordable price point. The stadium has also hosted emergency response efforts including fire training, police training, and pandemic response. It hosts events on behalf of the nonprofit and business communities, and the Giants partner with the Rotary Club on an annual 4th of July celebration. The stadium also hosts events such as sports camps and concerts. That said, the facility is old and requires updates. Amenities are limited inside the stadium bowl, which is what you see at the top of the picture beyond home plate. And the new clubhouse structure and batting cages will be constructed on the right side of this picture beyond the left field wall. So to run through the key terms of the lease restatement, as Nancy mentioned, the term of the agreement will run for 25 years until 2050. This was important for both sides. In making this investment, we wanted to keep Giants baseball in San Jose long term. The Giants will finance and perform the work to modernize and bring the facility into Major League Baseball compliance, estimated at $20 million. The work will go through all typical city permitting processes and comply with all requirements, including CEQA. The work is anticipated to be completed in the spring of 2026. The city will reimburse the Giants $5 million for a portion of the improvements. The reimbursement will be made over 7 years, starting in fiscal year 2027-2028. The Giants will increase the rent they pay to $40,000 annually, which goes into the stadium's maintenance fund. The Giants will keep all revenue from the naming rights and the video board rental, which is currently going into the maintenance fund. This is estimated at $120,000 annually. However, the Giants will remain responsible for all maintenance and repairs beyond structural elements of the stadium bowl and ongoing Major League Baseball compliance requirements. And lastly, the Giants will receive revenue from a potential future telecommunications lease at Excite Ballpark, which is expected to generate roughly $45,000 a year. This would improve cell service not just at Excite Ballpark, but surrounding uses such as Sharks Ice, Happy Hollow, and Kelly Park.
With that, I'll just recap the recommendation. Staff recommends that council authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute an amended and restated agreement for 25 additional years, allow for capital improvements at Excite Ballpark, all subject to city review, authorize the reimbursement by the city to Diamond Baseball Holdings, DBH, or Giants in this case, in a total amount of $5 million to be paid over 7 years and not starting until 2027-28. And lastly, approve the assignment of the stadium naming rights and collection of the income to DBH and Giants for the duration of the lease. That concludes staff's presentation, and we're here to address any questions you may have. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Nancy and Kevin. I'm going to now turn to Ben Taylor. Before we get to public comment, Ben's the general manager of our San Jose Giants. We're going to give Ben up to 5 minutes to address the council, and then we'll turn to public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, city staff, and distinguished city council members, it's my incredible privilege to stand before you today representing an organization that has been part of the fabric of this city since 1942. I'm a proud San Jose native, growing up in District 9 and going to school at Alta Vista Elementary, Union Middle School, and Lee High School. Go Longhorns. Before I go any farther, I do want to express my sincere gratitude to Nancy Klein, Kevin Ice, Cameron Day, Walter Lynn, and everybody at Public Works for their work not only in the recent months on this, but over the years in their partnership. For those who may be unfamiliar with our organization, the resolution up for vote today likely appears to be about a minor league baseball team with an aging ball field in District 7. I'm here to tell you that it's actually far more simple than that, and something that in today's day and age is too easily forgotten or swept aside. It's about people, and the much more than minor impact this organization has had on generations of those who have had the privilege of growing up, living in, moving to, working on, building families, or perhaps retiring in this city. Today's vote is about the future, But before we get there, it's important to consider the past for a building that was constructed as part of a New Deal public works project during World War II. And in order to do that, I need a quick wardrobe change. Much better. What is under consideration is a 25-year lease extension, with our ownership group, Diamond Baseball Holdings, committing a sizable investment with a city reimbursement of $5 million. So our starting point could just be that $5 million, but our organization doesn't measure impact on fractions of people. So I'm going to take the full scope into account. In the over 8 decades since Excite Ballpark, formerly Municipal Stadium, was built, over 8 million people have come through our gates. Aside from professional games, the organization hosts numerous non-San Jose Giants baseball events every year. These include nonprofit fundraisers and walks, San Jose Chamber of Commerce barbecues, CCS High School baseball championships, Boys and Girls Club clinics, YMCA fairs, fun runs, San Jose State University programs, Silicon Valley Pride celebrations, San Jose Fire Department trainings, San Jose Police Department programs, dozens of high school graduations, volleyball tournaments, COVID testing, blood drives, funerals, weddings, San Jose Rotary's 4th of July fireworks extravaganza, care package building for military overseas, and meal preparation for first responders serving on the front line of the pandemic. And all those examples, those are just since 2020. There are years where the organization has put on well over 150 non-minor league baseball related events, but for the sake of the argument, we'll take an average of 100 per year over those 83 years, 8,300 non-baseball events. Now we talk San Jose Giants games. 7 or 8 years ago, minor league baseball conducted a survey of fans attending their games, and you know what they found? Only 10% of people attending games knew the final score. 90% of people were going for some reason other than baseball. In San Jose, for many people, that's world-famous Turkey Mike's barbecue, the beer batter, Gigante, that giant orange gorilla we call our mascot, an ambassador for us in this city. The family fun zone, Friday night fireworks, churros, kids run the bases, Father's Day or Mother's Day catch on the field, a fundraiser for their organization or school. Or maybe they wanted a simple, fun night of entertainment after hearing that Taylor Swift sung the national anthem before a game. Or Steph Curry brought his kids on his first off-season weekend after winning another NBA championship. Or maybe came across names like Posey, Bumgarner, Crawford, Sandoval, and Lincecum, and learned they walked on San Jose's field before becoming champions and grabbed some complimentary tickets at Excite Credit Union, Rotten Robbie, or one of the many local organizations we work with on an annual basis. But I promised this wasn't just about baseball, and we just established that 90% of people come to games for reasons that aren't baseball. So instead of taking a full 66 home game schedule, let's take 10% off. Call it 60. 60 times 83 gets you 4,980, which added to our previous 8,300 gets you to 13,280, an average of 160 events per year, or just about one event every other day for this city. I think that's pretty good. Now let's talk future. We're looking at a 25-year lease extension and what that really means. Let's take that 160 event average and 96,385 people per year and multiply it across the next 25 years. 4,000 events and just over 2.4 million people. Add that to our previous totals, and by the time 2050 comes around, the San Jose Giants will have been in this city for 108 years, brought fun, affordable family entertainment to over 10 million people through at least 20,000 events. So if you want to put numbers behind what this resolution provides to the city, there it is. And I didn't even mention that for less than the current cost of a couple cartons of eggs, a family is able to enjoy a day or evening of entertainment in one of the most expensive places to live in the country. Never before has a lease extension of this length and investment been considered. But with those numbers, all I can say is, it's time to make history. Your approval of this resolution would not only ensure a better and safer place for baseball players of all ages to chase their major league dreams, but most importantly, it solidifies the ballpark as the memory-making place for what makes San Jose what it is, the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. All right, let's go to public comment if we have any.
Yes, Bruce. I think it says Bruce. Halen.
All right.
My name is Bruce Halen. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. just for information, I live across the street from Ben Taylor's parents, and so we know each other pretty well.
How many windows did he break growing up?
And I'm here to speak in support of the measure. I'm a retired teacher and a lifelong baseball fan. I grew up in Visalia, California, at about the same timeline as ballpark, as the city had a team. Here, that was the same thing in Visalia, so I grew up with a minor league team myself. When I think of this, I think of a line from Field of Dreams. If they build it, they will come. In this case, it's a little different, but pretty similar. To echo some things that have already been said, minor league baseball in particular offers family entertainment at an affordable price and offers the city a chance to provide an entertainment opportunity of professional level to the people who come here. And people who come here deserve those options and deserve a chance to enjoy top flight entertainment, and minor league baseball is one of those options. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back to council.
Thank you, Tony. Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you to staff for your work on this. Ben, that was an epic speech. We appreciate you putting that together and getting it in just in about 5 minutes. Well done. You know, when Ben and DBH came to us last year and highlighted this need, I'll admit I was a little concerned about our ability to move quickly, but I think Nancy, Kevin, Cameron, the entire team sprung into action. I want to thank you for problem solving with our partners and figuring this out. Also want to thank Michael Lomeo and Jessica Barriga on my team for helping to facilitate. And Ben, to you, the Giants organization, and DBH for being willing to make a historic investment in a community asset. And I think you pretty much said it all between the staff presentation, Ben's speech, and our public comment. But I'll just say on a personal level, Sylvia and I love taking Nina and Luke to games. And what was referenced by a couple of people, but I think is so special about the San Jose Giants, is that they're really the best of San Jose. You look around and it is accessible, family-friendly, fun. People are just having a good time. You see people of all backgrounds, all walks of life, all ages, and everybody's just having a good time together. And it's affordable. I mean, I think you can, if you check the website, you can get a ticket for as low as $8. Where can you do that in Silicon Valley and go enjoy a few hours with family and friends? I've been with my staff, with my old campaign team, with the kids, with work colleagues. It's a great experience that's an important part of our history here. And it's important that we upgrade the facility. I don't know if everyone's aware, but we're at a point where our municipal ballpark is so old and underinvested in, I'll just say, that if we don't bring it up to MLB standards, the team literally will not be allowed to play there anymore. This is kind of end of the road. And so this is an opportunity for us to upgrade the facility and ensure that accessible, family-friendly experience for another generation, for another 25 years, which I'm really excited about. So Ben and the team, thank you for your partnership. You've been great to the city and bring so much civic pride and vibrancy and economic impact and all the rest. And it isn't just about the numbers. It's really an important part of our culture and history as a city. And I'm glad that we've come to an agreement that really, I think, works for everybody and puts significant private investment in a city facility. We should keep that in mind. This is truly a public-private partnership. So with that round of thank yous, let me turn to colleagues. Looks like the entire council also wants to chime in. And I'm going to start with Councilor Dewan, in whose district Excite Park is.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Nancy and Cameron, for working so hard to put this extension on the lease to 2050. I am very thrilled and excited to see that we're supporting this. Ben, that was a pretty passionate speech, I have to say. And you know, I have 3 kids, and it's difficult to take a family to the Giants or some other baseball game. It is expensive, any sport for that matter. And the San Jose Giants is not only about the cheap tickets, it's about bringing the family together. It's about allowing them to instead of being on the internet, just be out there together. Allow our kids and many other incredible activities that you put together. And the willingness of the San Jose Giants to work with our multicultural and ethnicity that bring our whole community together. And this is the only minor leagues, I think, in the county of Santa Clara. So therefore, it's important, I look at the investment it's a super cheap investment for the next 25 years. And you're talking about the value to the family, especially the underserved family here. I couldn't say more. So I moved to approve the lease extension to 2050.
Great. Thank you both. Let's go to Vice Mayor Foley.
I love me some baseball. It is one of my favorite sports to watch. I can't wait for the season. I love all levels of baseball. I get to be involved with the Branham Hills Little League this weekend and then Cambrian Park Little League. It's so much fun. I grew up in Portland where we had a minor league team, probably still have a minor league team. I'm not up there. It was the Beavers back in the old days. Don't know what they're called today. I love minor league baseball. I am so excited for this. It's just for all the reasons that Ben, you articulated, and thank you for being a Lee graduate and Union Middle School and all of that. D9, I would expect no more passion from a D9 resident, so thank you. So exciting to have this opportunity to upgrade the park. It does need it. We want to keep the team there. 25 more years, that's fabulous. It is family entertainment. It brings smiles to everyone who goes, whether they know the score at the end of the game or not. I'm one of those who's too busy watching and having a hot dog and everything else, but I do enjoy a game. It's just so much fun. But I do want to end with one little thing. Well, I have a question, and then I have an ending. And the question is, when can this construction start, and how long will it take?
Construction is about ready to start, in all honesty, and the plan is to have it ready for opening day 2026.
Okay, great, wonderful, with no impediment to the current season.
Correct. Yeah, it's all taking place behind our left field wall, and so there will be no impact to fan amenities or games for the 2025 season.
Okay, thank you. And the other thing I wanted to ask about, and we don't have anyone from transportation here, but I'd love to see more enhanced crosswalks and pedestrian safety access to get from the parking lots into Excite Stadium. So if we can include that, as Vision Zero Center Road, it's really important in that particular area, but there's a lot of people coming around and we want them all to be safe.
Just a quick note, council member, checked with Jessica Zank, Vision Zero. There are improvements being made on Alma and Center, so there is work that's coming.
Wonderful. I'm really glad to hear that. And at the risk of embarrassing myself, I should ask you to join me. I'm just going to say, take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. I'm done. If no one's going to join me, I'm done.
Let's root for the Giants. If they don't win, it's a shame. It's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out of the old ball game.
Thank you for humoring me.
All right. Thank you, Vice Mayor. It's just something about baseball. All right. Councilmember Mulcahy.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Vice Mayor, for indulging that. That was great. Ben, thank you so much for the presentation, and to the Giants and DBH and to the fans for being here. I think it sort of just exemplifies the spirit of what the stadium represents for San Jose. But I'm going to pick a bone with you. Nobody mentioned the San Jose Bees, and nobody mentioned the San Jose Missions, which, for some trivia here, Lou Wolf was a partner way back in the day with my stepfather, and so the Missions, the Bees, and lots of other great history there at the park. Just a couple of kind of nitpicky questions, and you don't need to necessarily come if Nancy and Kevin know the answer. Are there any fan-specific experience upgrades that are as part of this capital investment that's happening?
Yes, but it's probably better for Ben to pick.
Then I'll have two for you, Ben, if you don't mind staying.
The clubhouses, batting cage, and weight room that are all being constructed as part of this will not only be for the San Jose Giants, but they will be activated as community assets during non-San Jose Giants game and during the traditional baseball off-season months. I think as many baseball fans are aware, this city and this county has been losing indoor batting cages and pitching tunnels left and right, and so our hope and plan is to activate those indoor facilities as community assets year-round.
Great. And I can still see Nancy behind you, but stay there because it might involve you. So just in terms of how the payments work, you've already indicated that the work is going to start right away. We pay year one whether they hit a certain threshold or not in terms of that initial investment that they're making?
We invest starting in 27, 28
okay.
in light of our budget situation, and it's roughly $714,000 a year for
Right.
7 years.
Okay, I missed that detail in there. Thanks for clarifying that. And because you're already rolling anyway, we're not worried necessarily about tying those to actual construction beginning, because you've got a deadline to meet.
That's correct, yeah. Our most meaningful deadline is opening day 2026. We've told Major League Baseball that's the date that we're hitting. To the mayor's point, we are very much under the spotlight, and Major League Baseball needs this facility to be up to snuff in order for the team to continue playing here. And so opening day 2026 is it.
Right. You know, I just want to double down on what the Vice Mayor was talking about, just in terms of, you know, pedestrian-friendly, parking sort of friendly environment. But just when we think about that whole sector of that center, Alma, you know, we've got San Jose State, we've got the golf complex, of course we've got Sharks Ice, we've got a new investment going into this stadium. I think it's bigger than just making sure we've got easy crosswalks. I think lighting needs to be enhanced for sure. You know, we're bringing hundreds of thousands of people into this particular little postage stamp in San Jose. You know, it sort of carries the, you know, same banner that we're all talking about, sports and entertainment. There's a lot going on there, and it's not, you know, Monday through Friday, you know, 8 to 5. I mean, this is a 24/7 operation. If you're playing hockey at 1 a.m. next door, I mean, it's kind of nuts what's happening there. So just want to make sure that we're sort of keeping our eyes open to all the opportunities that this little area presents for us in terms of driving economic activity.
You bring up lighting, a part of the South Campus group that meets with San Jose State and Sharks Ice, San Jose Giants, Happy Hollow, Kelly Park. Lighting for that area was literally the topic of conversation last week during our meeting. So anything you know, the San Jose Giants can do to be part of that discussion and make it a safer place to walk to and from the ballpark or Sharks Ice, we're all for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first, right from the mouth. Okay, thanks a lot. It's really excited for you, and thanks for making the investment in San Jose. That's all.
Thanks, Council Member. Let's go to Councilmember Condellis.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to keep my comments brief. I just want to reiterate my gratitude to staff, Nancy, Kevin Cameron, who's not here. He's probably watching, but, you know, thank you. Ben, thank you as well for your commitment to lean in on staying here in San Jose and working to improve this. This is more than just sports. It's an investment in our community and our future. As a kid, I remember I would look forward to going to Costco just because they would have the free tickets at the counter at the end, and I would look for those free tickets. And so I knew whenever those free tickets were there, we'd go to a ball game and then in the following day or weekend. And so I'm excited for the future generations of our kids, of our San Jose kids, to be able to have that same opportunity, and excited for this kind of win-win agreement that staff and the Giants have put together, and look forward to not just enjoying great baseball, but great barbecue as well. So thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Councilmember. Let's go to Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. I also just want to join my colleagues in thanking staff for their great work on this agreement. I also want to thank the San Jose Giants for their commitment to the families here in the city of San Jose. The San Jose Giants have played a major role in my family, in my upbringing. I was raised by a single mom, and many times when we went to the San Jose Giants games, it's because we were shopping at Lucky's and they happened to be giving away those free tickets. Lucky, I grew up right by Lucky's right there on McKee and White. And I was one of those families who may have not been paying attention to the score, but that was where, me and my brothers and my mother were able to go. We were able to bring our grandparents, get those churros. And recently I've been able to pass on that tradition to my own family. I was able to take my partner and her kids to San Jose Giants, and I was able to see them take pictures, and I saw her kids posting on their social media, and so it meant a lot that I was able to pass this on to our family in real time, because Sharks are expensive, you know what I mean? I love the Sharks, but they're a little bit more expensive for working class families. Same thing with the San Francisco Giants as well. So the San Jose Giants has a role to play here in the city of San Jose, and I'm glad that the city is doubling on that commitment. I'm glad that the organization is doubling down on that commitment, and I look forward to the many memories that San Jose families are going to be able to continue to make thanks to this decision. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Councilmember. The free tickets at the checkout work, is what I'm hearing. All right, Councilor Cohn.
Thank you. I can't really have a conversation about baseball with me not saying something, so I operate under the belief that there are two seasons, baseball season and the void. I'm glad that the void is ending and that we're heading back into the next baseball season. I could tell a lot of stories about all my baseball travels, but I'll only say this. There's no better family entertainment in San Jose than the San Jose Giants. And it's an amenity not just for District 7 and for certain parts of the city, but for the whole city. I mean, I hear people in my community talking about their day at the San Jose Giants game with their kids. And I was very excited when my son did spend some time at the San Jose Giants summer camp playing baseball on the field. One of my vivid memories is watching him hit a triple on the San Jose Giants field. Now, a 10-year-old hitting a triple is not quite the same as an adult hitting a triple, but it was still very exciting to watch him run the bases. And you forgot to mention what I think is the best non-baseball fun there. Well, I guess it's kind of baseball-adjacent fun, which is the bingo game, which is, to me, one of my favorite things to do at the game. I do want to ask one question about the contract and just how some of these terms compare to the previous lease agreement, because I'm not familiar with the previous lease agreement. The rent and the other conditions, how does that compare to the previous?
So currently, there is less rent going into the stadium's maintenance fund. Everything we receive from the Giants goes into the maintenance fund, and that's not changing. Okay. So that'll stay the same. They're going to increase the amount of rent, but then they will keep about $120,000 of the video board rental and the naming rights revenue. So we estimate that at around $3 million over the term of the lease. But it doesn't change that everything we receive goes in the maintenance fund, and the Giants are responsible for all maintenance.
Okay.
And I just want to add one thing that is really important to Walter Lynn and Public Works, which is the maintenance, the day-to-day maintenance remains the responsibility of the Giants. That was an important point.
And they draw on that maintenance fund that the rent goes into when they do that maintenance?
They coordinate, yes.
And so the changes here substantial changes here, other than the work and the payback portion of the $25 million work or $20 million of capital, is an increase in rent, but the city no longer receiving the funds for the advertising and naming rights.
We're sharing back those funds in order to help level out the deal for DBH.
And I'm very excited that the Giants will remain in San Jose for the years to come. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember. Councilmember Salas?
I moved to San Jose when I was 23, and I went on those free tickets because I was poor then. I took my kids there. I take my grandson there. It's really fabulous family fun. But I'm a little disappointed my colleagues didn't mention the adult fun there. The beer batter, I've never experienced anywhere else. I will not propose a friendly amendment, but please keep the beer batter if you can for.
I was wondering if anyone was going to mention the beer batter. That is an awesome feature of the experience. Councilmember Kameh?
I think a lot of my colleagues already covered a lot of what I was going to say. So I just want to say thank you to Ben and to Nancy, to Kevin, the whole team who worked on it. I am now into the second generation, and I have 5 grandkids, and they love it. They don't live in San Jose, but I bring them. And, you know, it's a wonderful, wonderful family day where we're just having fun, eating, watching baseball, and we just love baseball. So thank you so much for putting this all together and making it possible for future generations to come. So.
Thanks, Councilmember. All right. Well, sounds like you got a lot of support on this council. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the partnership and investment. Here's to another 25 years. Tony, let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Awesome. Excellent. Thanks again, Nancy, Kevin. Appreciate it. All right. Thank you all. We're on to open forum, which is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on any city business that was not on today's agenda. Tony, do we have any comment cards?
Brian Darby.
And Brian, just before you go, to Gigante and Ben and the whole crew here, if you all want to hang out for a minute after the meeting, council would love to take a big group photo with you all down here. All right. Brian, go ahead. You've got your 2 minutes here for open forum.
Thank you. I have been a special ed teacher and worked with people with disabilities for about 45 years. One of the places I worked with was in the Rappaport building at Agnew's Developmental Center, working with people with severe physical and mental disabilities. What drove me to come down here about FALA also drove me to come down here and remind people. One of the things I do online is to try to defend against people who deny the Holocaust and other things aspect of it. One of those that was a precursor to the Holocaust was the T4 program. One young gentleman, one young baby was euthanized. That set the framework for the murder of over 300,000 other people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. It was fought back against and it officially stopped in 1941, but it went on all the way until the Reich was defeated. There are people now that deny that this has happened. It did happen. My father fought in that war. He liberated some of those camps. It did something to him. The least I could do is try to remind her that. I knew people when I was growing up, and I saw the numbers on their arms. It does something to you. I'll never forget that, and I can't imagine what they went through. Thank you.
All right.
Back to council.
Thank you. Okay, we're adjourned, and we're going to take a big group photo. Come on down, Giants.